Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Move.
I'm saying no while you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir. It's not going to stop.
Seriously, we need to release the F-scene list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome one and all to a Sunday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with our special guest fill-in host, longtime friend, and patron of the show. Probably wouldn't even have a show without this co-host, and that is Tusker. Thanks for being here, Tusker.
That's a little grand. Hello, dissidents and comrades. How's everyone doing tonight?
Think everybody's doing okay tonight. Appreciate you very much for filling in. So yeah, Russ is still in China. I talked with Russell on the phone the other day, so everything is going well there. He's dropping videos on his Russ on the Road channel. And what we're going to start doing, you know how when Jimmy does his live streams, he'll set up each clip. I'm going to have to like start setting up at the beginning of some of the clips that Russ is away and that Tusker's in for Russ, because we're getting a lot. See, you guys right here, no disrespect to people who watch the clips, but you guys on the live stream, you guys are the core. You guys are the engine of the Do Dissidents train. But there are a lot of viewers who only view the clips, who don't watch the streams. And so, like, they tune in and they're like, where's the other guy? You know?
Yeah.
They're the more casual viewers. They don't really know our names. Where's the guy who usually hosts with you? Where is he? Did you guys break up? Do you have a fight? So no, so we'll start setting up that Russ will be back in May. But it's actually not going to be, it's going to go by quickly because we are doing an early show this Tuesday. This Tuesday we'll be on at 10 a.m. with Kit Cabello. Then I will be off on Thursday, and then next Sunday, a week from tonight, Jimmy Dore is going to be co-hosting with me. That'll be fun. Cool. That'll be awesome. And then we got Blakely for that following Tuesday because Kit is off that Tuesday. So we got Blakely coming in. We got Jimmy coming in. We got more guest hosts coming in. Russ will be back just after first week in May. So plenty more guests coming in to hold down the fort. But thank you all very much for holding down the fort with us and keeping the show going at this time. Yeah. And thanks for filling in.
Oh, yeah, no problem. You guys have had a lot of great guest hosts and stuff. I mean, Clint Russell, Rex Jones, Kit Cabela's been holding it down. Like Janine Eunice did great. So like everyone's been doing really well on the show. And Blakely actually just got featured on I've Had It podcast. That the hyper liberal Jennifer Welch. She had her on. That was a good conversation. So
yeah, it was.
Maybe one day you'll be on that show.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then they'll have to change the name of the show to I've Really Had It before I get on before they invite me on. Yeah. I am 1 foot in the grave. That'll be the name of the show by the time they invite me. No, but I invited Blakely on that Thursday, and she told me I would love to, but I'm going on another show. And so I guess that was it. I guess that's when they taped it. So but that's awesome. That's awesome. That was a great episode. What was it, like 27 minutes? I don't know if that was just one clip.
Yeah,
or that was a whole interview.
It was just 30. I think it was only 30 minutes. I feel like I watched all of it. But I mean, kudos to the Jennifer Welch lady for actually having on, kind of some more of the lefty part of, the internet space. So I'm glad Blakely was there to represent.
Yeah. Yep. definitely good stuff. Definitely lots to talk about. I noticed that, you know, the libs who are not like completely brain dead, I think are starting to realize how bad they fucked up, you know, and they are starting to sort of become a little more open-minded. It is to be determined how many of them there are versus the real true like shit libs, as they say. So that is TBD.
Time will tell.
We don't know that. Time will tell.
Time will tell.
But
but I mentioned whenever we did our election night stream, one of the very first things that I said is you will finally start to see some of the liberals start to realize maybe we should have gone with Bernie. And I think that she's a good representation of that. You know, now that they're so fucking upset with the leadership of the party and stuff like that, they realize how in the way they are. Now they're mad at him. Well, we were mad at him before, you know? So welcome to it.
It's true. I mean, it is just kind of amazing how you can trace so much of this back to that moment. You know, it's been 10 years already, you know, which I've had some thoughts about, you know, but 10 years. And, you know, it could have gone a very different way. Could have gone a very different way. But
I personally think is a great setup for our sort of first segment, the TPUSA.
Yes. Speaking of things that could have gone a different way. Exactly. All right, let's jump right in. We got Jake in the booth tonight. Round of applause for Jake. Thanks, Jake, for being here. We got 1,063 strong in the YouTube chat to start things off. Great crowd here on a Sunday evening. Smash that like button. Let's get an even bigger crowd in here. 458 over on Rumble. Smash that like button over there as well. All right, so we got a quick one to start things off. Remember that disastrous J.D. Vance appearance at the very, very poorly attended TPUSA rally, if you will? You might remember this question. This was during the Q&A, during the talkback, where they prove their bona fides as a free speech-loving organization. Here, this kid gets up and asks a question about the Epstein files.
Multiple times called the files a hoax. The acting attorney general said Epstein shouldn't be a part of anything at the DOJ. If there are compromised government officials in those files, how can the public trust that this administration will hold anyone accountable when its own Justice Department is actively blocking the investigation? Given that, can you clearly articulate your stance on whether federal entities should have a formal investigation? Thank you.
Yeah. So first of all, you said the Associate Attorney General or something. I haven't seen that quote, but here's my view on the Epstein matter. Number one, the guy was clearly a scumbag. Okay. Number two, he clearly had extraordinary connections, both with intelligence services, both inside the United States and outside the United States, also with a lot of very wealthy and powerful people. Okay. Number three, I have been a firm advocate and will continue to be a firm advocate of where we have something, and you know, like, I'm probably more obsessed with this than most officials. Okay. Probably more obsessed with this than most people even in this room, is when you see somebody who says something in an email that suggests, you know, there's one email I read, and it's been a little while ago, but it was talking about, you know, one person sent an email to Jeffrey Epstein saying, oh, there were some really nice, like, pizzas and grape sodas or something like that. And I remember it sounded like the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, but here it was in, like, an email from...
Oh, wow. Mind blown. Ha! Interesting. Yeah. Wow. This guy's really quick on the uptake. This guy is really ahead of the curve. Really on the cutting edge, J.D. Vance.
Very firm.
And my reaction to that was, we should absolutely investigate that person. Okay. And, you know, you remind me, I'm going to follow up on that to see whether we've investigated that person, because we should. We absolutely should. When you see evidence of sexual assault, sexual misconduct, regardless of whether you're powerful or not, in fact, you should probably investigate it more if you're a powerful person, right? I don't want powerful people, you know, being involved in this disgusting behavior. But I have to. You know,
we used to, back in Ohio, we used to order a case of Mountain Dew and a couple of throw pillows to put on the couch, and that was our code for a party, for a good time. But you know, whatever floats your boat. For some, it's pizza and grape soda. For me, it's Mountain Dew and couch cushions.
Yeah, he's also just sitting there and saying like powerful people should be investigated. Well, you're the fucking United States government. What other power do you need? You mean sexual assault is only able to be prosecuted if the vice president gets a question and then thinks maybe we should fucking look into it?
Yeah.
That is just weird.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's a weird guy.
Defend the president on this because when he said that it was a hoax,
I'm with the president on this.
What he was talking about was this democratic idea that he's connected to Epstein.
Right.
If you look at those emails,
he's only in there
they were
like
in
a
the
few
same,
thousand times.
everybody in Palm Beach knew everybody, okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like the president has said he knew Jeffrey Epstein and he was a scumbag.
Blah, blah, blah. Oh, yeah, I knew him. Yeah, real scumbag. Okay, well, anyway, that's just a little refresher. Here is the crux of this story here. So, lots of times when you go to these events and they open it up to questions, a lot of times the questioners are pre-selected in advance. And when they're not pre-selecting the questioners, sometimes they will pre-select the question. So that kid who asked him that question made a video and spilled the tea about how he was able to, in pretty unlikely fashion, get to ask that question in the first place. It's only because J.D. Vance, the putz, didn't know to keep his mouth shut that this kid was even able to ask that question. They weren't going to get to him because they were screening the questions in advance. So let's take a look.
I'm the UGA student that asked this question to J.D. Vance at the Turning Point event on Tuesday.
If there are compromised government officials in those files, how can the public trust that this administration will hold anyone accountable when its own Justice Department is actively blocking the investigation?
I sat at the front of the event and was prepared to ask a question on whether there should be a formal investigation. When I saw they opened it up for Q&A, I immediately tried to get to the mic. When the spotlight came on for the Q&A, 5 people were already standing there wearing suits and dresses with TPUSA lanyards already positioned there.
This guy kind of sounds like I Pwned You. Is this I Pwned You? I Pwned You hides behind that cartoon avatar. Are you the guy who snuck into the Q&A? I Pwned You?
I still got up and got in line, and I think I was the first one there that was not a part of TPUSA. So I just sat in line and got ready to ask my question. When we were waiting in line, this lady in a blue top was going around asking people, especially not in TPUSA, what topic we are going to ask about. When I was waiting in line and the lady came up to me, I could tell from her tone that they were probably screening the questions.
Okay, so if you were part of the organization, I guess you got to go in the front of the line. If you were a civilian and you weren't part of the organization, you had to wait and they asked you, okay, what are you here to say?
By topic. So I just said that I was going to ask on foreign policy. After a few more times of people coming up to me and asking what my topic was, this finally happened.
Thank you so much.
This will be the last question.
Okay.
Oh,
can we take 2 more? Because I like it. I like answering questions. We'll take
the idiot. See, that's the thing, man. That it's very unprofessional of JD Vance to like be like, hey, can we take 2 more? Like there's the saying in Glenn Ross, when the guy blows the sail for his colleague, and then the other colleague says, you never open your mouth unless you know what the shot is. Meaning you don't just talk unless you know what's going on in one of these controlled environments. So J.D. Vance, the putz, never quite occurs to him that this could be like contrived, and that the reason they're stopping the line at this person is because this is the last TPUSA stooge that they have, asking a pre-approved question. Or if it's not a TPUSA person, this is the last person whose question they think is kosher to ask. He doesn't realize that. So he's like, you know what, let's take 2. So if you see, this is the girl who asked about the home buying and the economic questions that we covered with Kit. And then right behind her is the guy who asks the Epstein question.
A couple more.
This was the last person in front of me, and when J.D. Vance said that they were going to have a few more questions, this lady immediately went back and started asking what my topic was.
So now
again,
she really wants to know what you're going to say.
Ask about, looking at my phone and saying, "Can you please read your question to me?" I was astonished how they were talking to us, so I went off to the side to talk.
You should have been like, I want to ask him about Milo Yiannopoulos' claims that Benny Johnson is into gay orgies. That's what I'm going to ask him that question. I really want his comment on that.
Somebody sitting down, and I looked back, and immediately someone had cut me in line. The lady in blue put this girl right in front of me because her topic was better than mine, and here you can see me fighting back on that a little bit.
So she lets the girl in front of him. So even after J.D. Vance says, all right, we're going to take 2 more. She's like, all right, well, now I have to really get to the bottom of who asks what. Then she puts the other girl in front of him to try and stop him from asking this. This is the transparency of free
Luckily,
speech,
JD Vance
TPUSA.
asked for one more question.
He asked for it. He does it again.
And finally let me ask a question.
He fucks it up again. He's like, let's take one more, just keep going. Like, clearly they're trying to stop this. Clearly they're trying to, like, all right, that's enough. Let's get out of here and call it a night before things get worse than they are. Because don't forget, we covered this with Kid. He was getting protested and heckled the whole time.
Yeah.
And so I finally got to get off my chest.
We'll do one more. Sorry, real quick. I love this, but I got to go.
I gotta
Thank you so much,
Someone asked me
Mr.
about
Vice
pizza
President,
great
and
soda
coming
before we
to UGA and allowing us to express our freedom of speech. So thank you so much.
This is my first time at a TPUSA event and a political event, but I just wanted to show that this was my experience, and they might preach for freedom of speech and non-censorship, but this was just my experience and how they managed the event. Thank you.
Yep. Nothing is as it seems. Nothing is as it seems. It's been my take about this TPUSA thing from jump. You know, people are talking about, you know, how Erica Kirk's behavior seems strange. I'm like, yeah, they're all strange because none of this is as it seems. It's all a show. Yeah. It's all showbiz at the end of the day. They're not a free speech organization. Everything is pro wrestling. What looks like a spontaneous Q&A is anything but. It was only because the doofus didn't know to take the hint and stop the event that he even got to ask that in the first place. Good.
Yeah. No, the reason why I said it was a great segue into the TPUSA situation is because I'm reminded of how, you know, Donna Brazile and whoever had orchestrated the questions in the debate between Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders.
Right.
And, you know, like, all the Bernie bros were like, this is unfair. Like, this is clearly like an orchestrated event where you are meant to come away with one opinion. And I think the Trump administration is highly characterized this way, is these people are so narcissistic that they really fucking believe, like, JD Vance is sitting here, he's getting these like questions pre-screened and he's like, oh man, I'm knocking this out of the park. Bring me another one. It's the hubris and the overconfidence of this administration that leads them to making mistakes like this, where they're just not understanding, like, hey, this is an orchestrated event. Like, don't break. It's just like the DoorDash grandma. Like, Trump walks in there and he goes, yeah, what do you think about the trans? And it's like, you realize this lady was told, like, tax on tips. So she gets up there and he asked her about that and she's like, oh, I don't have any opinion about that. She's got to worry about all these other interests going into it. You know, because it's an orchestrated event. It's just a psyop. It's meant for there to be narrative control and for people to come away with one impression from the event or the whatever it is, his speeches or anything like that. It's just meant to be narrative controlled.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not unique to TPUSA. So many of these events are like this. When I covered the Dean Phillips event and I got thrown out because I started screaming at him, you know, I wasn't planning on screaming at him. I was planning on asking a question about Gaza. But what happened was a guy in front of me, it wasn't in front of me. They had this guy going around like with another microphone. When somebody would ask a question and Dean Phillips, the candidate, would answer, they would take the microphone and they would automatically like find the next person. So it wasn't like the spontaneous thing where like you raise your hand and they find you. Like they would give it to the next person. And so I thought that was kind of strange. But then when Dean Phillips said something that I found kind of objectionable, I just kind of blurted out my objection to it. I forget exactly what it was. Oh, he was talking about the October 7th like videotape of all of the, you know, horrible things that happened on October 7th. Then I butted in. I said,
that's never been released to the public. That's never been released to the public for vetting.
Right. Exactly. And so I said, we've all seen countless videotapes of the horrors committed by the IDF, something like that. I just blurted it out ill-advisedly. But then when I saw how the event was going, how they were kind of like pre-selecting the next questioner, I'm like, oh shit, I kind of blew it. Like they're never going to call on me now because now I
you're
raised a red
hostile.
flag about myself. Like now they're going to think I'm a problem. So at that point, I just kind of yelled. So it's not unique to TPUSA that they do it this way. A lot of organizations do it this way, but it just goes to show the artifice of things that can seem very real and organic. So even an organization that brands itself so like free speech No, I mean, so much of this
They're good interest.
is curated for
Yeah.
your consumption. Yeah.
Which also reminds me of, what did Jose Vega initially go viral for? He went viral attending an AOC event where they took questions, where people in the audience wrote down their questions on a piece of paper. That's another form of selection. They can go through all the pieces of paper and go like, oh, these people are true believers, and so let's just answer their questions.
Right.
You know, and let's not take anything, which led Jose to stand up and kind of yell. So it's every single event with someone that has any type of political clout, I think, is controlled just in this way.
Yes, indeed. All right, we got 1592 in the YouTube chat, 582 over on Rumble. Let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants over here. Nocturnal Human, I wonder how many people will click on this channel for the first time thinking Tucker is on here. Yeah, because Tucker and Tusker are in the same thumbnail, in the same title. Yeah, I thought of that myself. Mr. Fancy Pants says, hell yeah, brother. Hell yeah, brother. Back to you. Thank you for your support, my friend. Michael Ewan says, I hope we get a sports ball with Tusker segment.
You don't want a sports ball with Tusker segment.
Are you a sports person?
No.
No. Who is a sports person that is connected to this show? I don't think we have any sports fans, really.
No, my highest level of sports commentary was one that I gave you whenever I called in that said I had a bias against dome teams in football. That's as high level that I can get whenever it comes to sports ball.
That's right. That's right. The anti-dome bias. That's right. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy. And so you don't comply. Thank you. Vienticus, appreciate you being here, my friend.
Hey, Vienticus.
Oh, I like this one. This is a good PBD reference because we got PBD on the show tonight. Has the U.S. even considered doing a roast to open the Strait of Hormuz? Yeah, what happened to that idea? I'm surprised he abandoned that idea. You know, now that there's a war with Iran, we could really use that comedy roast. I have a great idea where we gather the world leaders and they all get to roast Bibi Netanyahu for 5 minutes. They get to do a comedy sketch making fun of him. That was his idea for world peace. I guess that didn't take. I guess he gave up on that one. It's a shame. That was a great idea. That was
great idea.
Yeah. I love Norm, of course. Perhaps he's Tracying on the U.S.-Israel guilt issue. Dedicate your life to anti-Zionism, and when the right finally splits, it's the wrong way. How lefty? Yeah, I mean, it is lefty. Oh, let me just continue this because I didn't realize it was a two-parter. Ooh, maybe he and Berletic are right that it's spun to whitewash the U.S. as if the empire was ever good. Serving or loving its MIC at any time is not honorable. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, look, Norm is an academic. I love Norm. Norm is a goat. Norm is a giant. I think he's a terrific person, and I think he's just a great guy. Like, I think he's not only base, but really funny, and I love just about everything about him.
Yeah.
I love how much of a pedantic pain in the ass he can be.
Yeah, I love it too.
And he is a pedantic pain. Like, he's a pedantic pain in the ass in an endearing way, not in a Michael Tracy way.
Right.
In an endearing way. But I think in this case, yeah, I mean, I understand your point. I take it. I saw some of his interview with Brianna Joy Gray. You probably watched the whole thing, right?
No,
You're
I
up
actually
on these
didn't.
things more than me. Yeah,
I did. Well, you know, because I already have my own opinion about it, so I didn't necessarily need like Norm's opinion about it. I do happen to fall more on the Brian Berletic end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
As far as I think, because I mean, I've read that document that he constantly talks about, that which path to Persia. I literally have it sitting on my floor, and it says like, you know, maybe with Israel we can just deflect everything onto Israel. You know, we can make them look like the bad guy, and how even better to do it with them committing a genocide. Like, their name is already mud. So what's left to lose other than to say Israel started the war or anything like that? But to me, I just feel like it's tomato at this point.
I mean, I think it's both. Like, I don't think it has to be either or. Like, I think obviously we benefit from having a Western settler state in the region. Yeah. And so we definitely have a strategic interest, a sinister one, but an interest nonetheless, in propping that state up and having that state do our bidding. At the same time, I think there are instances where it is just clearly what their goal is just far too crazy for us to even consider. And that's why, you know, John Kiriakou said every time Israel visits the United States, no matter who the president is, they beg them to bomb Iran. And every other president said, no, we can't do it. It's too crazy. And Trump is the one who said, sure. You know what I mean? Like, both things are true. Like, that doesn't mean, like, the United States is innocent. It just means that, you know, like, mafiosos are murderers. That doesn't mean every mob boss approves every hit, because sometimes it's just suicidal to do a thing. You know what I mean? So that's kind of how I see it. But Norm was talking more about like the Tucker and the sort of right wing sort of anti-Zionist split, you know, and how a lot of right wing figures are hijacking anti-Zionism, which was the title of the episode, and I believe Norm used that for that word himself, because he
was the accusation. I think this actually comes up with like the Tucker and PBD conversation that we're going to have later on. Is the accusation about like the religious concern? Because I see Tucker doing that a lot. You know, like, this isn't Christianity. You know,
as far as I know,
about diversion.
I didn't watch the whole thing, so maybe he got into that later in the episode. As far as I watched, he just thought it was detrimental to the left to have figures on the right sort of carry the mantle of anti-Zionism, which I sympathize to a certain extent. But the reason why people on the right get invited on shows like Piers Morgan more than people on the left is because they present themselves as less hostile to the establishment, probably because at the end of the day, they are, right? But that's kind of the price of doing business. Like, at a certain time, like we were talking about before we started the segments, it's been 10 years since the Bernie movement that kind of red-pilled a lot of people, broadly speaking, on the left. And if you look back at the last 10 years, you have to ask, okay, what does the American left have to show for itself? The answer is fuck all. The answer is nothing. Nothing. The closest they have to anything is Zoran Mamdani, who we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. Right. Besides that, they have nothing.
Who was singing and reading to children with the Obama war criminal.
Yeah, with Obama, right, exactly. That's like the closest the American left has to something. And I think you have to take stock of that and kind of pinch yourself and realize, wow, it's been 10 years. Why are we not penetrating the mainstream? Because look, if you want to make change in a democratic society, that's how you have to do it. You have to be able to penetrate the mainstream in order to affect the conversation. And it's easier for right-wing figures to do that, partly for structural reasons, but partly that is a function of how people on the right carry themselves versus how a lot of people on the left carry themselves. Like, it's just like, it's true. Like, it's not something that you can really deny.
In the left's defense, in the entire history of the left, the most radical left-wingers have never been given a platform in the mainstream media.
Well,
they never have.
Way back, you saw, like in the 60s, they used to have some, like, debates with some of the, civil rights radicals at the time. Yeah, sure. I think it's been a long time. It's been a long time. And I think part of why it's been a long time, and we were talking about this a little bit off the air before we came on the show, is because a lot of the left has been psyoped into presenting themselves as just unpalatable to ordinary people through all the 50 different gender shit and the polyamory, all the culture war stuff that like Russ has been talking about for a long time. That's all, I believe, a top-down effort to trick the left into being less appealing to ordinary people than the right. And that's why the right gets to affect the discourse more than the left. And so I think when Norm talks about how it's a shame that the right is being given all these platforms, that is two-pronged. I think part of it is just the right is less threatening to corporate power, so they're going to get more airtime on corporate airwaves and corporate-like airwaves, like Piers Morgan, basically, right? Broadly speaking. But also, that is a function of the left's inability to, like, get its shit together. Like, I think we just have to be, like, honest and self-critical about that. Like, it's not all everybody else's fault all the time,
It's not.
All right. We will get to everything in due time here. I think, we got this one. All right. Louise Brooks, thanks for the $50 super sticker.
Thank you, Louise.
Appreciate that very much. Cowbell for Louise. I actually meant to go and get a real bell today, but I just did not.
You're not even going to get that fucking prayer bell until Russell's back anyway.
No, I'm not gonna get a prayer bell. I'm gonna get a bell. I'm gonna get like a service bell. You know, like a bell you ring at the hotel when the desk.
You're just going to get like a $2 like
a little bell. Yeah.
Okay.
What is a prayer? The prayer bell. Those are like 50 pounds, right? Those weigh a lot. Those are heavy.
Oh yeah, I know. Yeah. The traumatic use over and over again of the bell would just give you arthritis, right?
Exactly. It's too much.
That's what you're going to do that for.
Costs too much to ship, right? Exactly. What do you charge to ship $20 to ship a prayer bell? Can't get a prayer bell on Amazon Prime.
I'm disappointed that you aren't wearing the neocons hat.
I know. I have to get that too. Oh, now you're making me feel guilty, guys. I should have gotten that.
Oh no!
For when you co-hosted, how could I have not done that? All right, I got to.
You don't have to feel guilty. You're just not getting my other $50.
That's right.
It's in the ball's in your court, bro.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I will. I do have to get that ordered. I have to get that ordered, and I have to get a physical bell. But thank you, Louise. That's very kind of you. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Very much. Devanes is excited for Keaton or Russ talk to Jimmy and Kurt about Joe Rogan and his guests that come from the Epstein class. I see Rogan clips all over other casts while DD gets blocked. Jimmy, reach out. I talk to Jimmy. I mean, I text Jimmy all the time. He's coming on the show next week. So what do you mean? Rogan clips all over other casts while DD gets blocked. Oh, you mean on the video clips?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, they definitely block us. Like, we've always had a problem with the Rogan clips. Like when we play those videos, they get blocked. But
wasn't Joe Rogan just standing behind the president the other day?
Yeah, do it for some psychedelic drug thing. I consider doing that story tonight, but like when you're off for 2 days and you think on Thursday, oh, that's a fun story. Forget it. No. Like
that's a flash in the pan.
Hours in advance, new shit comes to life. Like we're not even going to get to what's breaking to it because by the time you prep it, some other horrible thing has happened.
Right.
But yeah, no, Jimmy's coming on the show on Sunday.
That'll be fine.
Yeah. Loyal DD live stream guy here, Miss Russ, but the guests are awesome. Justice for Palestine. Love you guys. Thank you, Sauce. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
That's very kind of you. Thank you, my friend. Me Shoot Skeet. Thanks for the super sticker. Appreciate that very much. All right, let's move right on along here. Okay, folks. So let's get all caught up on Iran, shall we? I love this tweet. This is hilarious. So Trump on the 17th, 2 days ago in the morning, Friday morning, says Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for full passage. Thank you. He meant the Strait of Hormuz. First, he was going to call it the Strait of Trump. Now, or the Gulf of Trump. It was going to be the Persian Gulf. It was going to be the Gulf of Trump. But now it's the Strait of Iran because they announced they were opening it up. And I love this one.
Well, didn't he just kind of admit that Iran has control of it? Strait of Iran?
Well, yeah. In this Truth Social post. But this was a full 2 days ago. This may as well have been. This is ancient history by now. But sure. We're just doing a little timeline here. So Mihek Cook, one of the last MAGA holdouts, says every foreign policy genius who spent a decade collecting paychecks to tell us Iran was untouchable just watched a real estate developer from Queens reopen the waterway that moves a third of the world's oil. The credential class should be embarrassed into silence. Yeah. Keyword there says reopen. You know why? Because it was open before the war, which is a detail that Mihek Cook leaves out. But Megyn Kelly had a reaction to this that I think speaks for a lot of people, even people like me who are not terribly fond of Megyn Kelly. She's, yay, we're ending the war by getting them to open the strait that was open before we started it. Great.
One of his posts today called it the Strait of Iran, which is probably, the best Freudian slip he's had in weeks. Yeah, it wasn't really before. It was an open Strait of Hormuz used by everybody in the Middle East and beyond. Now it's the Strait of Iran. Now they've realized they've got an economic pressure point they can unleash on us. And we're keeping our ships there now to make sure that they don't do anything, no funny business while we wrap this thing up. But at some point, our destroyers are going to leave. And we'll see how many times we have to go through this now with Iran as things ratchet back up, because they've realized that they have a very powerful tool that hurts us that they never used or realized before.
Oh, yeah. Well, they realized it about a day later. Didn't take long. Didn't take long for that prophecy to fulfill itself. Now, here's Donald Trump at the TPUSA event on Friday that they had. I guess they felt like they needed to bring in the top dog to get the stink of that horribly attended J.D. Vance rally off of them. So he announces on Friday night, this will be a great and brilliant day for the world because Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for business.
It will be a great and brilliant day for the world because Iran has just announced that the Strait of Hormuz is fully open and ready for business and full passage.
See, that's the stacked crowd for Trump.
But the naval blockade, with the greatest navy in the world, from the greatest military the world has ever seen, we built it during my first term. We built it. They said I was crazy.
Funny how a year ago Turning Point USA was against the Iran war, and now here Trump is on the TPUSA stage doing war propaganda to an audience clapping like seals. Funny how organizations can like turn around that quickly, you know? All it takes is for, I guess, a few WhatsApp chains with some Zionist donors and, you know, things like this can happen, you know?
We weren't so crazy, were we? Will remain in full force and effect as it pertains to Iran until such time as our transaction with Iran is 100% complete and fully signed.
Well, yeah, he was very optimistic. He was touting the end of the world. End of the world. Ha! There's a slip on my end. Freudian slip.
Right.
First of the evening. Perhaps the first of many. End of the war. End of the war. He was touting the end of the war, not the end of the world. No. Why is that on my mind? I got to get that crazy.
No idea, Keith.
That craziness out of my brain. Got end of the world on the brain. But yeah, no, he was pretty rosy-eyed about things. Trump frames Iran war as all but over in optimistic social media flurry. President Trump went on a media tear Friday, granting interviews and unleashing a flurry of social media posts that framed peace talks with Iran as all but complete. After an announcement by Iran's foreign minister that the Strait of Hormuz had been reopened, Mr. Trump made a series of optimistic posts on his social media platform, Truth Social. He also spoke to several news outlets, asserting that Tehran had agreed to many demands and predicting a quick resolution to the conflict. Iranian officials did not confirm most of Mr. Trump's claims and disputed several of them. Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, Iran's top negotiator and the Speaker of its parliament, said on social media Friday evening that Mr. Trump made several false claims. The President of the United States made 7 claims in 1 hour, all of which are false, said General Ghalibaf, a military and political influential figure in Iran leading negotiations. They did not win the war with these lies. They will certainly not get anywhere in the negotiations either. Mr. Trump said on Friday that Iran, with the help of the United States, was removing all of the mines it laid in the Strait of Hormuz last month. He also claimed that the Hormuz Strait situation is over and Iran has agreed to never close the Strait of Hormuz again. Spoiler alert, folks, it's closed. As of now, we're just kind of giving a recap as to how we got here. Iran has made no such commitment, and its foreign minister, Syed Abbas Araghchi, had only gone so far as to announce that the vital oil route would be open for the remaining period of ceasefire for ships that adhered to a route coordinated by Iran. Later, the ministry spokesperson, Esmail Bagay, said the strait remained under Iran's supervision. On Friday, Mr. Trump told AFP that there were, quote, no sticking points left for a peace deal with Iran. The White House has not confirmed any details of a plan. In a brief phone interview with Axios, Mr. Trump said he expected a deal, quote, in the next day or two. Amid the barrage of social media posts, the president painted himself as a peacemaker maligned by traditional news media. Yeah, here he tweets out, the failing New York Times, fake news, CNN, and others just don't know what to do. They are desperately looking for a reason to criticize President Donald J. Trump on the Iran situation, but just can't find it. Why don't they just say at the right time, job well done, Mr. President, and start to gain back their credibility? Well, you know, they held out.
They wouldn't be credible.
Yeah. How would that look now if they did that, Mr. President? How would they look like 2 days later? That's why. So yeah, cut to Iran closes Strait of Hormuz again. 2 ships report attacks while trying to cross, from the Washington Post. Iran's military announced Saturday, so just 1 day after Donald Trump said, "What's with the media not giving me credit for opening up the strait?" Strait's closed. Iran's military announced Saturday that it was closing the Strait of Hormuz, citing a continued American blockade, leaving the status of access to a vital waterway unclear a day after President Donald Trump and the country declared it open. 2 ships reported attacks while attempting to cross the strait, underscoring the fragility of the ceasefire amid diplomatic efforts to end the war. Trump told reporters Saturday that the United States remained engaged in very good conversations with Iran and acknowledged that Tehran wanted to close up the strait again. So this piece of audio is all over Twitter right now. This is kind of funny. Iranian Navy to ship attempting to pass through the Strait of Hormuz. The strait is still closed. We will open it up by the order of our leader, Imam Khomeini, not by the tweets of some idiot, they say.
And Oman Sea. This is Iranian Sepa Navy calling you on channel 16. The Strait of Hormuz is still closed. We will open it by the order of our leader, Imam Khomeini, not by the tweets of some idiot. If you want to pass through the strait, you must ask permission from Iranian Sepa Navy. All vessels that have a connection with our enemies will be targeted if they try to pass the Strait of Hormuz out.
Fucking just insane times. Just insane. May you live in insane times, as the saying goes.
The Chinese, yeah. May you live in interesting times means you live in insane times.
Yeah. They can't blackmail us, Trump said of Iran, adding that he would have more information on the talks with Tehran by end of day. 2 gunboats affiliated with the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps opened fire on a tanker about 20 nautical miles northeast of Oman Saturday morning, according to the United Kingdom Maritime Trade Operations Center, a monitoring agency that is part of the British Royal Navy. The agency said all crew members were reported safe. So now here's Trump once again. This was today, this morning. Once again, 2 days after essentially declaring victory, Iran decided to fire bullets yesterday in the Strait of Hormuz, a total violation of our ceasefire agreement. Many of them were aimed at a French ship and a freighter from the United Kingdom. That wasn't nice, was it? My representatives are going to Islamabad, Pakistan. They will be there tomorrow evening for negotiations. Iran recently announced that they were closing the strait, which is strange because our blockade has already closed it. They're helping us without knowing. And they are the ones that lose with the closed passage, $500 million a day. The United States loses nothing. In fact, many ships are headed right now to the U.S., Texas, Louisiana, and Alaska to load up compliments of the IRGC, always wanting to be the tough guy. We're offering a very fair and reasonable deal, and I hope they take it, because if they don't, the United States is going to knock out every single power plant, see, here he goes again, and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. They'll come down fast. They'll come down easy, and if they don't take the deal, it will be my honor to do what has to be done, which should have been done to Iran by other presidents, I guess including myself the first time, for the last 47 years. It's time for the Iran killing machine to end. President Donald J. Trump. Okay, so you're right back to where you started, basically, in the run-up to this 2-week ceasefire. I remember doing the show with Kit, thinking, "Hey, Kit, this could be the last. This could be the last time we see each other. It could all end." And we seem to be right back in that position. Although now, of course, Trump has already tacoed once, and so I don't know if they have more leverage or less going into this. My guess would be less. They just keep digging and digging. Go ahead.
Just kind of like the goal for him to be like Iran, who always wants to play the tough guy. We'll end your civilization. No more Mr. Nice Guy. Your power plants. Like, who's the tough guy?
Yeah, you bomb their country.
Yeah, like it's just.
Yeah. It's absolutely unhinged. You know, I've talked about this on the show. Like, as thrilling as it was to watch him beat Hillary Clinton on election night in 2016, I think if we're being honest, the thought crossed all of our minds, hey, what if like a war breaks out and this guy is like leading us into it? Isn't that going to be kind of insane? And then in the first term, it didn't happen, so we kind of like breathed a sigh of relief. Well, now it's happened.
Yeah.
I mean, now you're dealing with just a totally unhinged, unpredictable, mentally unstable lunatic overseeing what could be World War III.
It feels like it's kind of like, I know that you always use that analogy about like a chamber being empty or something.
Right,
well,
the
it
Russian
seems
roulette,
like the first fire of the gun had a bullet in it.
Yeah.
Because this guy is just an absolute psycho.
Yeah. Well, so for those who don't know the metaphor, I was talking about how, Kamala was promising more of the same foreign policy wise. So that's like playing Russian roulette with every chamber loaded and you're guaranteed to blow your own brains out. And with Donald Trump, because he's so erratic, in my mind, it at least gave you a chance at survival, but ultimately a very small chance. And so that's why, like, I couldn't go as far as to, I mean, I would never endorse Donald Trump anyway, because his politics are just not my politics, but I couldn't go as far as to tell you, it's a real chance. No, it was always, we were doomed either way. We were doomed either way in different ways. And we'll get into this later in the stream because we have a segment about this later, kind of. I mean, this is essentially a worst case scenario, I think. But yeah, here he is. President Trump drops grave warning after Iran commits serious violation of the ceasefire.
And we have very good conversations going on. It's working out very well. They got a little cute, as they have been doing for 47 years. Nobody ever took them on. We took them on. They have no Navy. They have no Air Force. They have no leaders. They have no nothing. Actually, their leaders it is regime change. You call that enforced regime change. But we're talking to them. They wanted to close up the Strait again, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us. In fact,
if this is regime change,
they haven't been closing the Strait for years.
What's that?
I said they haven't been closing the Strait for years.
Oh no, of course.
Anyway,
it's just complete insanity. Like I said, it's just a complete psychotic break. I mean, calling this regime change would be like calling North Korea regime change when Kim Jong-il died and his son took over. I mean, you may as well call that regime change. Like, this is not regime change. But he's saying this, like, this is his way of begging his Israeli masters to let him wiggle out of this. But they're not going to do it.
Talking to them, they wanted to close up the Strait again, as they've been doing for years. And they can't blackmail us. In fact, a lot of the ships are coming up to Texas. I don't know if you know, in Louisiana, the ships are coming up. They got used to it. Maybe they'll keep doing it.
Oh, yeah.
Worked out pretty good. But
big oil boom down there now.
Along very well. And we'll see. But we'll have some information by the end of the day. We're talking to them.
It's like there will be blood out in
we're
Texas.
Taking a tough stand. They've killed a lot of people. A lot of our people have been killed. A lot of your fellow soldiers have been killed over the years by Iran. The roadside bomb. Soleimani, I killed Soleimani.
He was making the explosive form penetrators. They're making them.
Soleimani was fighting ISIS.
Through the vehicles.
Well,
Soleimani was fighting ISIS. Right. Yeah, exactly. I mean, no, this is just, it's just so insane. Here's Mike Waltz on Trump's latest threats to blow up Iran's civilian infrastructure. Everything's on the table.
You about the ceasefire between the United States and Iran, as you know, set to expire on Wednesday. President Trump warned in his post this morning, if there's no deal, the U.S. will, quote, knock out every single power plant and every single bridge in Iran. No more Mr. Nice Guy. If there is no deal by Wednesday, will the president extend the ceasefire agreement?
Well, that's ultimately a decision for the president, and I'm certainly not going to negotiate on national television.
Understood, but is it on the table? Is it on the table? Is that possibility on the table?
Absolutely, everything's on the table, and the president's made it very clear he is prepared to escalate, to de-escalate this conflict.
Escalate to de-escalate.
But I just want to get ahead of this other ridiculous and frankly irresponsible narrative that this would somehow constitute a, quote, war crime that we've heard from Democratic politicians, the media, and others in the international community. That is wrong. It's irresponsible. And we have a long history of taking down bridges, power plants, and other infrastructure that is powering Iran's military, and they have a long history of conflating civilian and military assets, including hiding weapons caches, rockets, and military hardware in schools, hospitals,
in schools.
and other.
You couldn't possibly be referring to the school that we blew up at the beginning of the war. See, this is just the Gazification of warfare. Now you can hit civilian targets, and we'll just say, well, they were of dual use. You could say any utility has dual use. That's why it's called a utility, right? Because it has multiple uses. You could always say an oil refinery is used to power the military. If it's a utility, by definition, it has broad application, broad use. You could say that about anything.
You know, last I heard, the IRGC has to breathe oxygen to survive. We should do something about that.
Exactly.
We should take away the oxygen of every Iranian civilian. It's just so fucking weird and genocidal.
I mean, you know, it's a great point, and it accents just how close reality is to absurdity. Because, yeah, air is the most urgent resource that we all need literally every second of every day, or else we die. What's the second most urgent? Water, right? So what? You strike desalination plants. A lot of these Gulf states in the Middle East have populations that can only be maintained through water treatment. It's a desert, right? There's not enough water that is readily available to drink and to use in the middle of a desert. So the water infrastructure is hugely important. Yeah.
And what do you need to make sure desalination plants to bring that water to people are running? You need electricity.
Right.
So you're literally threatening the power grid and water itself. Might as well threaten air.
Right, exactly. You may as well threaten air. Like, it's really not a far shot. You're like making that point. Like, it's a great point because it is really not that far away from just threatening to deoxynize or whatever you would say the whole country. Like, it really is.
I.e. destroy an entire civilization.
Yes, an entire civilization will die. That's right. That was the threat. So here's Donald Trump on Air Force One saying, unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to start bombing again.
If you don't have a deal by Wednesday when the ceasefire ends, will you extend the ceasefire or will you
I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe I won't extend it.
Okay.
But the blockade is going to remain. But maybe I won't extend it. So you have a blockade, and unfortunately, we'll have to start dropping bombs again. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. I think it's going to happen.
What about the U.S.
I think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen. So, once again, folks, 2 days ago, this guy was indignant that he wasn't getting enough credit for ending the war. 2 days ago. Right. And now here he is saying, yeah, actually, never mind about that. Turns out we're going to have to start dropping bombs again. Gets worse. It gets worse. He apparently had a call with this Fox News reporter who relays the message to the Fox News morning show that the whole country is going to get blown up.
President Trump for about 20 minutes, and he told me if Iran does not sign this deal, the whole country is getting blown up. He went on to say that bridges and power plants will be targeted if Iran does not sign this agreement. The president telling me that U.S. Special Envoys Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff are heading to Islamabad, Pakistan for meetings on Tuesday, possibly into Wednesday, to try and get this agreement across the finish line. The president telling Fox News this is a very simple deal, but this is the last chance for the Iranians. The president very clear in our conversation that he is not making the same mistake that President Obama made, giving cash to the Iranians and allowing them to continue a nuclear program. The deal on the table is to reopen the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that the Iranians do not have this highly enriched uranium that is buried deep underground after Operation Midnight Hammer last summer. And again, the president telling Fox News that the entire country will be blown up. Bridges and power plants will be targeted if the Iranians do not sign this agreement.
Wow. So, threatening civilian infrastructure and by extension, a civilian population in order to extract political demands from a political class, that's called terrorism. That's what that is. When you threaten civilians in order to get your way politically, say we're going to get hundreds of thousands, if not millions, killed unless you bend to our will. That's a terroristic threat. Of course, when you are top of the food chain, you don't have to live by those rules, I guess. Donald Trump tweets out, today an Iranian-flagged cargo ship named Tusker, nearly 900 feet long and weighing almost as much as an aircraft carrier, tried to get past our naval blockade, and it did not go well for them. The U.S. Navy-guided missile destroyer USS Spruance intercepted the Tusker in the Gulf of Oman and gave them fair warning to stop. The Iranian crew refused to listen, so our Navy ship stopped them right in their tracks by blowing a hole in the engine room. Right now, U.S. Marines have custody of the vessel. The Tusker is under U.S. Treasury sanctions because of their prior history of illegal activity. We have full custody of the ship and are seeing what's on board. President Donald J. Trump. So that is about where we leave off. Of course, now talks are going to resume over these next couple of days, and we will see what happens past that point. As much as Trump insisted he wasn't bluffing the first time, I think he very clearly was. We played that Ryan Grimm video where Ryan Grimm said, hey, a way to wiggle out of this is to invoke some previously introduced piece of material that the media ignored and just revert to those terms and then say it was because of your unhinged threats to wipe out the civilization that they came to the table with these terms. I think, Jimmy tweeted out something to this effect earlier. I think Trump knows he has no cards here. I think he knows that. Yeah. I think he understands that. I think as much as he is sort of gesturing this big tough guy act, which ironically, as you said, he accuses the IRGC of posing in that way. I think he knows he has no cards here. So I don't know how they kick the can down the road further, but I am skeptical of an end of civilization-like attack because he clearly blinked the first time, and I hope to God he blinks this time. I hope to God what he does, and I believe Jimmy tweeted out something to this effect earlier that, the best thing he can do is just declare a fake victory and call it off. That's the only play at this point. It's the only play at this point. There simply is no other move here that is just not suicidally insane.
Yeah, I think I agree with that. The other thing that kind of drives me crazy about this whole narrative, Megyn Kelly had said it at the very beginning. Megyn Kelly in that clip, she sat there and she said, oh, ever since you launched this war, Iran has now just come to the realization that they have an economic pressure point. How chauvinistic. Are you really saying that Iranians didn't understand the global economy? They didn't understand how goods and services move and all this other type of stuff? Like I said, if you read that with Which Path to Persia document, they sit there, even these think tankers, they sit there and they go, no, we're considering the Strait of Hormuz. That might be a potential thing that Iran would do, but we don't think they do that. No one actually thought that they would do it. That's what they're surprised about. They're surprised that Iran saw this as existential. They thought that if they bullied them and did terroristic actions against them, bombed them, that these people would just submit and give up. And now that Iran hasn't, that's where they're really just spinning. They have no idea what to do about it. The other thing that I would like to point out is even if we send people to Islamabad in Pakistan to negotiate. I've watched interviews with Dr. Professor Marandi. He sat there and he said it was clear to the Iranian negotiation team that J.D. Vance had no authority. The Iranian negotiation team was given authority by their government to actually negotiate. J.D. Vance was spending all his time calling, sometimes unsuccessfully, trying to reach the president to see if they could move the terms of negotiation. And it didn't ever happen. I guess just the last point that I want to make is, you know what? If this heroic pilot, this super heroic pilot that crawled 100 miles with a broken ankle or whatever it is, why is this guy not just being plastered all over TV? Where is this motherfucker?
Yeah, it's a good question. Yeah.
Where is he?
Yeah.
If that really happened, it seems like his fucking face would have been plastered all over the mainstream media.
That is a good question. Yeah, that was one of the stories that kind of got lost in the shuffle for this show, but we never really dug into that. I know a couple other of our friends did, but no, that is a good question. I think also one other thing that the United States and the West more broadly, even though a lot of our Western allies are kind of pissed that we tried to drag them into this, just like when we invaded Iraq and the French wouldn't go along and we said, you don't be speaking German if it wasn't for, the same kind of stupid bullshit.
Eat your freedom fries.
Yeah, your freedom fries. Yeah, exactly. I think the United States definitely underestimated the ease with which Iran could exert economic pressure on the United States vis-a-vis the rest of the world, basically. Like, I don't think the U.S. really anticipated that the world would blame us for this and not the Iranians for choking the Strait of Hormuz. Like, I think the United States' standing in the world had slipped even more than the conservative wing of the U.S. power structure thought. I don't think they thought that they could do that as easily. I think they still kind of were arrogant enough to feel like, you know what, we're the hegemon. At the end of the day, these other countries are going to take our side here. And that just didn't happen. And this is momentum that really started and accelerated in a huge way under Joe Biden with the sanctioning of Russia and the provocations against what became the sort of emerging BRICS alliance. Like, this country fell a lot farther than I think even some in the sort of Trump sort of crew thought, even though they made a lot of rhetorical gestures to understanding that on the campaign trail. I don't think they really believed it until now, when reality smacked them in the face that actually, oh shit, we're fucked. The world is fucked. And not only is the world fucked, but the world is going to blame us for how fucked they are. They're not going to blame Iran.
Well, and also this is just like kind of the point that I'm trying to say. Like, Iran never realized that they had a pressure point. Iran has always realized that they've had a pressure point with the Strait of Hormuz. What they haven't had was being an unprovoked, aggressive war of choice being launched on them.
Right.
If they had just gotten mad at America and shut down the Strait of Hormuz and caused a global economic issue, people would clearly point the finger at Iran and say, you did this and you did that. You, by attacking them, gave Iran the opening to now that the world goes, well, we kind of understand why they did. In the first hours of the war, you killed like 160 school children, mostly young girls, ages 9 to 12. No one has any sympathy for you.
Exactly. And that's a great point. And this momentum, like I said, just really has been accelerating over the last several years. I think the Ukraine war is a big part of that. I think the Russians and the Chinese sort of developing workarounds to American currency is a function of that. Like, the world is just figuring out how to circumvent U.S. power. And in a way, you could say, just as, nudging Ukraine, hey, maybe you can join NATO, ended up walking right into this trap. You could say that this bombing of Iran is the same thing, born of the same sort of ill-advised arrogance, which is, it's still a unipolar world. We're still top of the food chain. We can still act with impunity and get away with it. And we're learning time after time that the world has become a more complicated place than that by design. And by design, I mean that our provocations have really caused what we call the rest of the world. There's a great article about how, what we refer to as the rest of the world is actually like most of the world.
The majority.
Right? Like, most of the world is what Westerners sort of, thumb their nose, the rest of the world. Most of the world has realized, we have to figure out a way to survive the final lashing out of this vicious empire, and that's what they've done.
The ultimate form of chauvinism is assuming that other people, other civilizations, other nations don't value their own sovereignty and existence.
Right. Exactly.
That is the ultimate form of chauvinism, is to just assume that these people want or are willing to be squashed. Because then they don't have the same human characteristics as freedom-loving Americans.
Yes. Yep. 100%. 100%. That is the arrogance of empire in a nutshell. No doubt about it. All right. We will move right on along here. Folks, to our seniors in the audience. Some call you boomers. We call you seniors here. We don't use terms like boomers. Millions of you seniors are on the wrong Medicare plan, and many of you don't know it. And here's how that happens. So when you're trying to figure out Medicare, who do you call? Most people end up talking to a Medicare broker. And what they don't tell you is that brokers get paid by insurance companies to sell you specific plans that you probably don't need. Their income depends on what you enroll in. So that's not an advisor, that's a salesperson with a conflict of interest. So you make a choice based on advice that was never designed to help you in the first place, and that's how millions of people end up on Medicare plans that don't make sense for them. Chapter is the exception, and that's why we are partnering with them, because they're the only national advisor that compares every Medicare plan in the country. Their advisors are salary-based, so there are no hidden incentives to sell you plans you don't need. You tell them your doctors, you tell them your medications, and then Chapter does the hard work of pairing you with a plan that fits your needs the best. If you're already on that plan and that's the right plan for you, they will tell you that, and that will be the end of the discussion. Either way, you get off the phone knowing you made the right call. It's free, no obligation, nothing to lose. A call with Chapter takes 20 minutes. You talk to a human being when you call 404-706-0804. Once again, that's 404-706-0804. All right, let's take some super chats and some Rumble rants here. Ardeen W, thanks for the $10. Love the show. Can you do a segment for transgender support? We see the attacks on the trans community as one of many as a canary in the coal mine. Need to spread love and show that support is out there. I mean, I support everybody. What attacks are we talking about? What was there was something recently. Was there something? I don't know. We don't tend to cover those issues so much anymore. But yeah, look, I'm a live and let live libertarian in that way, for sure. Stoop sign. Oops. All right, not Tucker Carlson. She's Tusker Carl's daughter. Thank you. Stoop sign. Appreciate that. Keaton, you should stage a publicity stunt with Chris Pavlovsky. He would be wearing a Rumble Daddy t-shirt and thank him for Rumble Wallet. His disruptive technology that'll let you save $10 million. Chris Pavlovsky is Lord of the Rumble universe. Thank you, Victor Shakopopoulos. Appreciate that. Web Angel PB, Keaton, please co-host with your dad. He'll probably have to be on Rumble, but I think it'd be great to hear his perspective. Thank you, Web Angel.
Yeah, your dad's great.
PB. Yeah, you just got to figure out how to get.
I don't think you'd be able to get a word in edgewise on the show. But.
Yeah, how to get the tech. Yeah. Well, if we can get the tech hooked up, right? Andy Gardner, Erica Kirk has a theme song. Tusker is Tusk. Great percussion. Real savage live. Got it. Thank you for that. Appreciate that. Dark Matter Zombie, thank you for the $100. That's Landrew. Let me see if I can find your thing, Landrew, without the soundboard going all haywire on me. Sometimes when I scroll through the soundboard,
dude, if you hit that soundboard thing and you leave me alone here for 5 minutes,
yeah, it's not gonna be good, right? All right,
no,
I can't risk it.
Can't hang for that long.
Landrew is dead. Here, I'll do that. I'll simulate it for you. Yeah, here. This one I can do. I can give you the cowbell.
Yeah.
Oops. Where is it? Come on. Yeah, but I can't risk leaving Tusker hanging. I'll have to have Jake sign on and do a segment with Tusker.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Landrew, thank you very much. That's very kind of you. Is Iran our hope for creating a new socialist government with the collapse of the U.S. economy having been destroyed by the end of the petrodollar? We are all Palestinians now. Free Palestine. I mean, as much as it would be kind of hopeful to think that out of a collapse, something like a socialist government may take form, I think, and this is a bigger theme, but when you look at who has the capital, who has the technology, and who has the weaponry, I think it's pretty clear that any kind of collapse like that just leads to a consolidation of fascism. And I think that made itself very, very obvious in the aftermath of the Charlie Kirk murder, where you saw the tech oligarchs just they couldn't wait to come on the internet and talk about how there's no coexistence with the left because they want it. That's what they're doing. They're trying to instigate a social collapse because they have the power, they have the money, they have the tools necessary to exert more control over the society. What does Jimmy say a lot? Chaos favors the establishment. And so when you have a collapse like that, unfortunately, I think that would be the results.
And if I could just like comment on the socialist aspect of it, what Iran is currently undergoing right now is an anti-colonial struggle for liberation and sovereignty over the nation. It is not necessarily a struggle for socialism at this point. Right now, they are just trying to not be colonized and not be bullied and told what to do with their own country.
Right. Turk Yurdu. I think what Landry was saying, like, if the global economy tanks because of this war and we collapse, does that create an opportunity for socialism? And I think, unfortunately, the answer is, I think the answer is in the short term, no. That's what I'm saying. Like, if in the event of a social collapse, I think that just leads to a further consolidation of all of the resources that a government needs to just basically lock the door on whoever's unfortunate enough.
I agree with you, but if you're talking
about,
if you're talking about like, does it create a chance? Sure, it probably creates a 3% chance.
Yeah,
I
think you're optimistic there.
Just the chance is negligible.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly.
It's just that the chance is so negligible, you shouldn't count on it.
Right. You don't have a left in the USA. You never did. Yep. Point could be made there. Point could be made there. I hear you. Virtuoso, every politician who does manufacture consent on behalf of the Israel lobby should be tried for treason. That's setting the standard for accountability on America's end, while Israel gets its just due. No qualms about that. Bronx comrade, Tusker have a very happy commie May Day. That's right.
I most certainly will, comrade.
Are we doing a show on May Day? I don't even know.
Are you?
Let's see. What day of the week is May Day? No, Friday. So I guess no show on May Day. Maybe I'll do a May Day special. Maybe I'll do that.
There you go.
Maybe I'll do something. I'll make up for my absence next Thursday.
You can do a music show on like May Day.
Yeah, there we go.
Like on like resistance songs and stuff.
Yeah, that's an idea. Some labor protest songs. Yeah, there you go. I like it. Devanes, Jimmy and Kerp said they want to have a friendly debate with DD about Rogan. Oh, is that right? They didn't bring it up to me. Did that come up on like a super chat on one of their streams? Jimmy and Kurt are always sticking up for Rogan because they are friends. Yeah, no, I get it. Kurt is really emotional about it. Love all. See, I've texted with both of them the past few days. Nobody's brought that up to me. But, look, I don't think about Rogan enough to, debate Rogan. What's the line in Casablanca where he's like, yeah, I would hate you if I thought about you more. Like I'm not particularly passionate about it, but yeah, I mean, I haven't heard from them about it. Like I said, Jimmy will be on the show on Sunday. Maybe Rogan will get some more psychedelic drugs approved, and we'll be able to talk about it then. Maybe he'll be in the news again. Maybe we'll luck out. Megyn Kelly has a portrait in her garage that is aging rapidly and bleeding from all of her wherevers. Ha! Good one, Stoop Sign.
Well, I just wish whoever does her hair would come over and do mine every now and then.
Yeah, she got nice hair. You get good reviews for your hair. I think your hair is fine. Yeah, your hair looks fine. Your hair looks good. But Megyn Kelly does have she does do it like a very professional job. Like Candace Owens has makeup. Like that's the thing. Like it's
I know.
Like women really care about how they present, whereas like I obviously have no makeup. I just sit down. Like I'm lucky if I rub the fucking grease out of my eyes before I sit down.
Yeah, well that's because look, I mean, I don't want to get into it or whatever, but that is something that women just have to deal with. A woman comes on with no makeup on and it's just, get this ugly bitch off the screen.
Yeah,
like,
it's like a thing. Yeah.
She should have comported herself more professionally.
Like it's amazing how different like women celebrities look when they're just like spotted out on the street without makeup. Like they're almost unrecognizable. Or like a man, you recognize him. Like if Ben Affleck is walking down the street, looks like Ben Affleck. But like if Sydney Sweeney, like they the paparazzi take a picture of her with no makeup, but like it doesn't even look like her.
Right.
Like it's like a totally different person. Yeah. Hey, I think Joe Kent's chin has a self-sharpening feature to maintain his cutting edge. The Newsmax guy's chin starts out sharp but quickly dulls after cutting through cardboard. Yeah, no, look, I've said this before. Thank you for the donation. And this is a subtle point. You know, this is a very subtle and sophisticated point. It's not that the Chin Man has a great chin. There are people with better chins than the Chin Man. I agree with you. I think Joe Kent's chin is better than the Chin Man. The thing about Joe Kent is he has other things to recommend him besides his chin. The Chin Man only is where he is because of his chin. It's not like it's a perfect 10 chin. He's probably got like a 7.5 chin.
It's more about what they're allowing to rest on their chin.
Right.
You know, it's like, what do they want to actually sit there on their chin? Right. And the chin guy clearly likes to have things rest on his chin.
Oh, yeah.
Comforting to him.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That guy is all chin. That's all he has is his chin. It's not that he's got the best chin. It's just that his chin is the best thing about him. Thank you, Race Car, for that. Always important to sharpen my points. Thank you for the opportunity to sharpen my argument about the Chin Man and how he got where he got because of his chin. I'm suffering from Trump exhaustion syndrome. Thank you, Interbank. Hey, Jake, can you just do me a favor and check our levels? Just make sure one of us is not like too loud. If you could just adjust our mics. It's all right. Don't worry about it. That's why we got mic settings and stuff. Just make sure we're both on auto.
Jake.
Maybe. Thank you, Jake. Round of applause for Jake in the chat this evening. All right, let's go right on along here. Vientikis says the only strait Trump wants open is the strait of his own ass. Thank you, Vientikis. Stoop sign. Turns out Trump is Russian roulette with a Glock 19 fully loaded extended clip and the switch that modifies it into fully automatic hot potato. Yep, not good. Believe me, not good. And for everybody who's new to the show, these Russian... Oops, sorry.
You cut out for a second.
No, Jake muted me by accident. It's okay. These Russian roulette metaphors are metaphors about self-harm, not about harming anybody else. Just so everybody gets those metaphors straight. Trump claims that Iran has no leaders, but he refuses to recognize that the U.S., at best, is run by kink fetishists and butt plug aficionados. Yeah.
Butt plug sommeliers?
Sommeliers, yeah. I paid extra due to the vulgarity. Thank you, Ardeen W. Appreciate that. That's very nice of you. It's very, very considerate of you. Very thoughtful. Vientikis, notice when the U.S. ships put up their blockade and those ships aren't getting attacked with drones. Meanwhile, we're supposed to believe they drone bombed this island twice the distance. Interesting. Oops, what happened over here? Noah says, I think you're wrong. The more desperate, the more dangerous. Managed decline is rare, and U.S. has a history of viciousness. Oh, you're talking about will Trump actually go all out and bomb the infrastructure because we are desperate?
Oh, yeah, I think it's possible.
It's definitely possible. I mean, it's definitely possible. But, once you blink once, that's usually a sign you're going to blink again, Usually you're either bluffing or you're not. But it is certainly possible that this time will be different.
I think Trump's been blinking since Butler, Pennsylvania. That would
explain a lot. Yeah, that's what Max Blumenthal says. He says that scared him straight, and he's been, neocon slave ever since.
Yep. Instead of showing him the actual other footage of the JFK shooting, they just fired a shot at him and said, "Get your mind right."
Yep.
And he's been done ever since.
A lot of people say that. Definitely a lot of people say that. Vientikis says they censored all the voices that were calling them out like political powers do. That's why they're always dumbfounded why every political action is a disaster anymore. Yeah. Good point, my friend. Jerry's middle finger says every Sunday Trump threatens Iran before the markets open on Monday. Then he's in a ceasefire with Iran every Friday. He's obviously using war as a market manipulation scam to profit from war. Yep. I mean, that is another pattern that a lot of people have observed, and we've talked about it here for sure. For sure. Okay. Let's go on. We'll do one more, and then we will get on to our segment, and we will get to all super chats and Rumble rants in due time, of course. Keaton How did you get so smart? Have your dad on with Rumble Cameo. This would explain a lot. Do you think I'm smart? Do you think I'm smart? I don't know how smart I am. I what did they say? Fake it till you make it, right? Alex Dasley, get Michael Tracy to fill in and accompany Tusker. I'm sure his schedule is free. Tony Clifton level troll. Freedom. Thank you.
I've already had my fill of talking to Tracy.
That's right. You talked to Tracy before, right?
Yeah. I used to call into his show that he had with Richard Hanania.
That's right. That's right. So Tusker has talked to Tracy as well.
He's exhausting. He's exhausting.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. He goes the distance like Rocky in Rocky 1. All right. We're going to move right on along here. All right, folks. So Tucker Carlson has been making a lot of enemies here and recently called out Patrick Bet-David, who then responded. So we're going to get into this a little bit. I was kind of amused by this, and I think this is a pretty interesting exchange. So here is Patrick Bet-David playing Tucker's clip in question and then beginning a certain response. So first, we're going to see what Tucker had to say.
Bet-David on his podcast. Here's Patrick Bet-David on his podcast a day or two ago. Watch this.
I don't know why Catholics, have this issue with Jews. I don't know what it is. They have this. I don't listen. I get the Jews have issues with Christians, and they'll make fun, and they'll say stuff like, "Oh, your Jesus is gonna do." They'll say, "Well, he was a Jew anyways, right?"
Yeah. The Jews, they make a lot of jokes. The Jews, they say like, she looked 18 to me. That's a great Jewish joke. That's a great joke. What's another Jewish joke that they make? The Jews, they say Hamas was hiding under the school. That's another Jewish joke. A great joke. Oldie but a goodie. They say, don't worry, the security deposit is totally refundable. You get it back when you move out. It's another great joke that the Jews make. They kid around a lot. They kid around with especially with the Catholics, because the Catholics they fall for you. They call them the goyim, the goyim.
But then Catholics have that issue with Jews, and they act like they're all innocent and everything. And when you look at Catholics, the amount of centralized power they have, centralized. If you know what the total Catholic population is worldwide. It's like 1.213 billion. Jews are 15 million.
15 million.
But Jews are decentralized, meaning Jews don't have somebody they listen to that says, hey, you better do this. Catholics, God forbid you say something about the Pope. They're like, hey, man, listen, who is that Pope figure in the Christian community? We don't have one. No. If I ask you right now who's the Pope in the Christian community, you don't have somebody to look at. Who is a witch pastor?
Yeah, exactly. No, they don't.
We don't have one.
It's an independent network.
It's just the Bible. So if you look at only Catholics and Muslims have somebody that they look at as their supreme leader. Like, you got to go to somebody. But even more, it's Catholic.
Well, there's only two theocracies in the world.
Catholicism?
Islam. I'm sorry. The Islamic Republic of Iran.
Yep.
And the Vatican.
Yeah.
Those are the two major theocracies.
So actually,
go ahead. Were you gonna say something?
Oh, I just said that's it. Only two theocracies.
Yeah.
Just those two.
Yeah. And it's funny they don't count like Saudi Arabia in there, even though I think you can make a pretty good argument. Saudi Arabia is a theocracy. No, they overlooked that. Overlooked that one.
Actually, the Vatican is very much like the Nazi Iranian government, the theocratic government, the mullahs. It's all basically the same. They've got the complicated dress. They hate the Jews, as Patrick Bet-David just said. There's Catholics.
They like to fuck adults,
Yeah, and their dress is so complicated. They look like doctors.
Yeah. They have sex with adults.
They have a problem with the Jews. A problem with the Jews. It's slander. It's an attack on the world's largest and oldest Christian denomination, and it's taking place openly. And it's all coming from the same source, which is Israel. The issue is Israel. Anyone who supports the Netanyahu government, not Israel as a concept, not all Jews, no, the Netanyahu government, anyone who ratifies every decision, no matter how violent or grotesque or genocidal, of the Netanyahu government. Those are the good people. And anyone who doesn't is a Nazi. And by the way, their religion itself is a Nazi religion. It's an inherently anti-Semitic religion.
So, Tucker, it's interesting. I watched this video a few times, and respectfully, I want to respond to you because you're a formidable voice. Whether I agree with you or not, you're somebody that's very good at getting your message out there. And I think at this point, if there's anybody that believes in your ability, it's a guy like this who, after I sold my company, offered you a $100 million contract. I even went on your friend Megyn Kelly's show.
I offer you a $100 million contract. So you said, because I didn't even know this backstory, I had a feeling this is what he was getting at, but you said that he offered Tucker to be a part of the show, the Valuetainment show?
Yeah. So whenever you told me that we were doing this topic, I ended up like, what's the Tucker versus PBD thing? And without checking like the time date, I got transported back, like whenever it happened, that he decided to not be on Fox, or he got fired from Fox, and people were figuring out what to do. He offered him essentially like, we'll buy you, like, for however many millions of dollars. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about going onto the Megyn Kelly show and putting out that offer as though Tucker Carlson isn't a bigger brand than this guy is.
Yeah. Come to
like,
us,
where do you...
value. It's like Fox News, only it's even stupider, and we reach less people. Is that what he was going to be on? Like, was he going to buy the Tucker Carlson network, or was he going to be like, was Tucker going to be there on this show?
I assume that's what the idea was. It was to, instead of the Tucker Carlson show being its own entity where Tucker Carlson has creative authority over his own product, he would be subsidized, like he would be under Patrick Bet-David, this extreme Zionist.
All right, so I guess he turned them down. All right, so there we go. All right, so now we're more or less up to date, I guess.
When I announced it, and she was asking specific questions, I said, yep, we went to your house, we made the offer, then we spent some time together. I came to Maine, and we did your show, and we've had a couple good conversations together. So I believe in you. I think you're funny, quirky, very good communication, and you have your way of doing things. It's almost like you do twist words a lot, and I noticed you did that with me. He hates
Okay, remember this. So Patrick Bet-David says Tucker twists words a lot. This is amazing how he gets this as wrong as he does. It's really funny.
Quirky, very good communication, and you have your way of doing things. It's almost like you do twist words a lot, and I noticed you did that with me. He hates Catholics. He hates this. Catholics hate the Jews, and all this stuff that you did. It's a little bit of your shtick, which I get. But let me kind of get into a few things I want to address with you in this video, and maybe you're not aware of it. A few things you need to know about me. My number one priority is to make sure America stays as the greatest country in the world. Period. Full stop. I'm America first. I'm a Christian, non-denominational Christian that you need to know about me. And by the way, I'm Armenian, which, by the way, the first nation that accepted Christianity as their religion was Armenians. And the only ones that debate Armenians on them being first is Assyrians, and my dad is Assyrian. Maybe that's the reason why my parents divorced each other twice, married each other, and divorced each other. So Armenian, Assyrian, Christian, America first. I want this thing to be the greatest country in the world. I want capitalism to be common sense for everybody, to realize that if a new person wants to come up and have their dreams become a reality, I want that to be out there. But I wonder if that's where you are today. You were always there for many years until what's happened with you the last couple of years. So let me kind of address a few things. So you said something a couple weeks ago. You said Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's interesting. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. It's a pretty bold statement. I mean, it's like you're selling Sharia law more than you're selling America.
Did he actually ever say that?
Good question, Tusker. So you're the fill-in host. You're the fill-in host on a podcast that's not yours. You have no stake in this beyond your emotional stake in us because you've been one of our most loyal friends and supporters, which we appreciate. But you thought when you heard that, your first thought was, did he actually say that? So like you were curious enough to interrogate whether he actually said the thing that Patrick Bet-David just accused him of saying based on a tweet from Breaking 911. And don't forget, Patrick Bet-David accused Tucker of twisting his words, right? Okay. So here's the quote. There's not a single Western city that's thriving. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West. That's in quote marks. So I watched this whole video, and we're going to watch this whole video now. It's only 5 minutes. I sped it up a little bit, so it'll be less than that.
Okay.
But when I watched it the first time, I realized he did not actually say that. And I'm thinking to myself, did I miss it? I mean, I have ADD. It's possible I spaced out and just missed it. Did he actually say that? So I watched it back. Turns out, nowhere to be found in that quote. The Vigilant Fox actually picked up on this. No one else is calling this out, but I actually watched the full 5-minute video, and there's a fake quote being spread. Quote, Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West, never appears. Not even close. Does that sound like something Tucker Carlson would say?
No,
like you have to be a fucking imbecile to think he said that. And how careless and stupid do you have to be not to check it before you make that the sort of linchpin of your entire point, which we're going to go back to PBD in a minute after you watch what Tucker actually said, because what Tucker actually said is kind of interesting. And you would think Patrick Bet-David might want to respond to it, but of course he never bothered watching it. He just read the tweet and decided to attack him based on a fabricated quote from a hack tabloid account called Breaking 911. So Vigilant Fox says, not even close. There's only one instance of Sharia law in the transcript. Saudi Arabia, it's a country governed by Sharia law, and they're like, that's great, good for you. The words more advanced also never appear, whether you like Tucker Carlson or not. Judge what he actually said. This quote is completely made up. Yeah, completely made up. Sorry, did you have anything to add before we go to Tucker?
Well, I just want to congratulate the Vigilant Fox for spending more than 5 minutes thinking about a fucking single subject. So, I mean, congratulations to him.
This guy says, you tend to twist words. You twist my words.
For many years until what's happened with you the last couple of years. So let me kind of address a few things. So you said something a couple weeks ago. You said
reads it off the page.
Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West.
Doesn't play the video. Maybe, I mean, who knows? Maybe he did know he didn't say it. Maybe he just figured he'd read the quote. Either that or it was.
I bet he did.
Yeah.
I bet he did know.
Yeah. Either way, it's just amazing. So anyway, here's what Tucker actually has to say, which speaks to some of Patrick Bet-David's point about the decline of the West and capitalism and culture, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Much that I see it. I travel so much that I see it. There's not a single Western city that's thriving. And they're all degrading in exactly the same way.
Is a lot of it just a moral decay, or is it actually true from everything?
It's a lot of things, but it's self-hatred. Every city.
Crazy.
Every European city, every American city. It's just why people lose their will to live, their will to pass on their culture, their values, their religion to their children, their will to have children. It's all gone. I mean, it's not gone with everybody, but I mean, in the cities, you really see it. It's like the people who built this are long gone, and their descendants have fled, and they don't care enough to keep it going. There's just a lack of self-respect that is disgusting to me. And I have contempt for it. It doesn't bother me to be hated. What really bothers me is when people hate themselves. If you hate if you hate yourself, how are you going to treat me?
That's correct.
Oh man, I don't like it. So I notice it because I travel outside the Western world, the white world. I'll just be honest, the white world. I travel a lot in the Middle East. It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm not Muslim, obviously. In fact, I'm like a Christian, flat out Christian, and my ancestors are from Europe. And so I have nothing in common on that level with the Gulf, but you go to the Gulf and it's incredible to be in a place that has pride in itself, that believes in its religion and culture, that thinks we're onto something. This is great. Look at what we're doing. We're really proud of this.
Yeah. See, so I'll pause it for a second. I mean, it's interesting because, this is what Russ talked about in Vietnam, is just being overseas, especially, in the non-white part of the world, you're around people who are part of projects that they believe in and they're excited about. Whether you think that those projects and ideas are applicable in the United States is a different question. But the point is they have a project that they're excited about. They're excited about the future, whereas the sense you get in America is that our best days are behind us. And that we're dying. That's why we call the Rust Belt the Rust Belt. Why else would we call it the Rust Belt? Right? Rust is decline. So that's what he's talking about there. He's not saying these countries are more advanced because they have Sharia law. In fact, he in a minute will make a point about that. That's a lot more nuanced than Patrick Bet-David gave him credit for, because Patrick Bet-David just based his whole argument on a made-up quote that he didn't say. Yeah. Anything to add before we can go on?
Well, I mean, I think what he's identifying is just like an exhaustion and disbelief that the ruling class in Western countries are willing to try anything different.
Right.
You know, they don't have even the capacity to think of a new way of doing things. And so that creates stagnation. By definition, it means that you don't have the ability to innovate in any political sense.
Right. Exactly.
Those people are happy. They're welcoming of others. They're tolerant of diversity. Like always right. Tolerant of diversity. There's none of that here. Are you kidding? All the whites, we love black people. Then they run and move to Bozeman because there are no black people.
Absolutely. Send their kid to the...
They hate diversity.
They hate it.
And our version of it isn't working at all. At all. So, but you go to a country like Japan or the Emirates or Qatar or Saudi Arabia, and you see that when people are self-confident, when they're really pleased with what they're doing and they believe that their system is the right system, that self-confidence results in a kind of welcoming attitude. So you'll be sitting at dinner in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, and you'll say, I'm really kind of pro-Jesus, like I'm a Christian. They're like, oh, that's so great.
And they don't have the same...
Well, they mean it.
And they don't have the same belief.
No, they're Muslims. They're Muslims. It's a country governed by Sharia law.
Right.
And they're like, that's great.
Good for you. Yeah.
It's great. And you notice
right. So he's not saying that because they're governed by Sharia law, they're more advanced. It's not at all what he's saying. They're making almost the complete opposite point, that despite the fact that they are governed by a fairly rigid and conservative orthodoxy, they're actually more open-minded than you might imagine because they are secure in the wisdom of their project. And so they are less threatened by outsiders and outside ideas because they are secure in what their countries are doing. So in other words, he's saying that even despite the fact that they are governed by conservative orthodoxy, they're more open-minded than even the so-called liberal states can be.
Right.
I don't understand that. I don't understand what you're talking about. They got Sharia
Your
law or not?
David is pretty good.
Yeah. What are you saying?
In ISIS or Al Qaeda or like the Muslim extremists, they're all from like collapsed, pathetic societies dominated by colonial powers. They've been degraded, and that's why they're so angry.
See? So in societies governed by Sharia law that do not have formidable visionary political projects, they fall into the kind of violence and despair that you might argue we have fallen into here in the United States because we've lost faith in our political project. So Sharia law, when it exists in a society that has been degraded, manifests in collapse and violence. Just like I would say maybe Christian nationalism married with an environment of despair creates collapse and random violence, like we've been seeing on the rise here in the United States. So what Tucker's point is that actually the Sharia law, or lack thereof, the governing orthodoxy, works alongside the political project, right? It's not the same thing. You have to separate them from each other. That conservative orthodoxy, when married to a forward-thinking project, could be compatible with the population in the sense that because they have a forward-thinking project, they're not as threatened by outside views. But if you marry that with degradation, you get undesirable outcomes.
And if you absolutely refuse to engage in any type of talks or debate or anything like that, if you just insist that there's nothing better than your system, that nothing else can be done about anything, then you are going to actually hit a wall. And you're just saying, nope, everything has to stay exactly the same, no matter how much people are suffering underneath that system. And it's just your unwillingness to sort of change and listen to people about what it is that they want out of their country that is actually causing the degradation of America.
Right.
Right? So there's something about being degraded that turns you into a violent nutcase extremist. You're seeing a lot of violent nutcase extremists in our country. Not surprising because the country's being degraded.
Correct.
So in a country with self-confidence, people are tolerant and open-minded and happy. And in a country where people are told to hate themselves, they start to hate others. Duh. This is all like very obvious, but I only know that because I've traveled a lot.
Mhm.
And I am naturally open-minded. Like, just because you don't do it my way doesn't mean it's bad. Like, I really feel that way, where they're into things that I'm not into, like, I don't know, polygamy or Islam. And I can sort of look at it and be like, no one's forcing this on me. I'm not mad at you for being a polygamist. I think it's really hard, but whatever, leaving that aside. But I can go to a place like that and I don't feel like I need to judge everybody on their local customs. I just don't feel that need. But in the process of doing that, like, you get perspective on your own society. And the core problem is a loss of faith in our people, in our values, in our religion. Just don't believe anything. I don't care what you tell me. Like, I'm noticing that New York City has people shitting on the sidewalk or having sex in ATM vestibules, and people are dying of drug ODs on the street in their car.
I never saw anybody having sex at an ATM vestibule. Maybe I've been out of town too long.
You're telling me it's
Man,
not.
I guess I didn't hang around New York long
It's
enough.
not. Like, I don't care what stats you throw. Well, according to the American Academy of Bullshit, it's actually the best it's ever been. Really? I was there last week. It's not. All I'm saying is, let's treat the people who run the banks, the people who are getting rich from usury, like the criminals they are, and make them suffer, because that's totally fair. If you
or maybe like people who run like multi-level marketing schemes, right? Like insurance schemes, right? Maybe they shouldn't be at the top of the economic hierarchy. So that, like, this is the irony is that, like, what he starts getting into now, and it's kind of what you were talking about, is when you resign yourself to the fate that says that the system is unchangeable. Once that system stops working for people, what sets in? Despair. As despair sets in, self-loathing sets in. As self-loathing sets in, hatred of others sets in, and now you have a degraded environment of social collapse. So it's not Sharia law, it's everything else he's talking about.
Exploit and destroy people, you're not a good person, and we should just say that. And I think we should start by getting collective action. Everybody who's deep in credit card debt, I don't care what your race, it would be actually a way to unify the country. We're just going to have this month, we're all getting together, and we're not going to pay our credit card bill.
That would be amazing.
Bitch? What are you going to do about it? But your average person can't do that. So why don't we all get together and do that? You know what would happen if we did that? I'd be assassinated immediately just for saying that.
Yeah.
So
there's actually, just real fast, there's actually an argument about the reason why Jesus was kind of killed way back in the day, that he talks about bringing back the Jubilee. And the Jubilee was a form of debt relief. Every 50 years, governments used to just strike the debt for, like, farmers, peasants, like whoever it was in the underclass. They just used to strike the debt. And Jesus called for debt relief. And so that might have been one of the reasons why he was killed, because he was talking about economic redistribution and bringing back the Jubilee.
So that's interesting. That's interesting. See, I did not know that. I did not hear that. I don't know if Patrick Bet-David knew that either. He might have to leave.
Well, if you listen to him, like what we essentially were doing there in that entire thread was doing like blood and soil. Like, he's literally sitting there and being like, you want to talk about Christianity? I'm an Armenian. And then there's an Assyrian. So even still, this motherfucker can't get away from blood and soil and eugenics and, like, who deserves to be heard and all that stuff. It's just absolutely supremacism.
Yes, and he leans into that hard in the second part. So this is a few minutes later in the clip, but here's Patrick Bet-David again.
You and I think, both admire
Charlie Kirk.
Charlie Kirk once said, I think it was 2 days before he was killed. I think it was 1 day before he was killed. He said, Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Let me read it to you one more time. Islam is the sword the left is using to slit the throat of America. Do you agree with Charlie? Because I do. I do. Because it's all like, hey, let's make it not a big deal. Let's be tolerant. Let's be tolerant Christians. Sharia law has made Islamic societies more advanced than the West.
He reads the quote
Let's
again.
just be tolerant. It's okay.
Say.
Let's be tolerant. Let's accept all this stuff. Let's allow all this immigration that's going on in UK. It's not a big deal. They're not that bad.
Again, it's amazing how he just runs with this complete straw man based on things that Tucker did not say. What Tucker was talking about is that actually the rigid belief in the virtues of capitalism and the ability of capitalism to lift all boats, when in practice what has happened under capitalism the past half century is people have been plunged into debts that they cannot catch up to, which is why they can never own homes and start families and live the kind of lives that their parents lived, because people like you, frankly, have exploited people and are so apparently unaware and or unbothered of the hardships that you've caused that you revert to these clash of civilization narratives and then completely pull out of your ass that Tucker Carlson is like pro Sharia law and pro mass migration. Like, one of Tucker's main arguments over the course of his career has been against mass migration. And that's an argument that I am that's a view of his that I am not particularly sympathetic to. But I know that that's his view because I've been following his work. You make this up out of thin air. You just completely make it up based on a fake quote that he said Sharia law makes cities more advanced.
And also, it's just like he's sitting there, like, what is his complaint? He's sitting here talking about immigration. And this motherfucker came over here and did an MLM campaign and bankrupted Americans. And I'm supposed to take him seriously as someone that actually gives a shit about Americans and American families? Please.
Yeah.
It's fine. They don't live the way you do. They just don't. They don't live by the values you and I live in America. They don't. Now, if you I have a lot of friends that, like Andrew Tate chose to become a Muslim. If you've already converted, but you've not made the announcement publicly, listen, to each his own. You're making that decision as an adult. I support it. More power to you. But my priority is America first. My priority is to make sure we advance America in a way that young men are able to make enough money to get married and have 3+ kids, preferably 4.
4.
And be able
what
to...
am I fucking, I'm fucking what? I'm chopped liver over here? What am I, nothing? What am I, wood?
Yeah.
4. I got 3. Yeah.
Have their kids' dream become a reality where if they want to go build a business and make billions, do it. If you want to make millions, do it. If you want to go in the military, do it. If you want to go out there and, have a regular job, making $58,000 a year at whatever company, but you're happy about your job because you're a school teacher, go do it.
The fact that they can't go do it is what Tucker is talking about in this video that you quoted based on a fake quote that he didn't say and apparently refused to engage with at all. Like, so much of what he's talking about there is stuff that Tucker is talking about here, which is why Western cities are in decline, why the country is so sad, why we're all so hopeless and in debt, and how those circumstances have created this kind of stew of ill will. Those are all points that are addressed in the clip that he cites, but makes up a fake quote that wasn't there. It's just kind of amazing.
And then also, he sits there and he says that a regular job is $58,000 a year.
Yeah, exactly. That's another thing.
That is not a regular class working job.
Yeah.
So what is he even talking about? We don't have the wages to sustain a $58,000. Not every family has that amount of money.
No. And even if they did, it wouldn't be enough. There's that chart that came out, like the average wage that you would have to earn per state to be able to live with a modicum of comfort and save for the future. And I know that's like a luxury now, is to be able to save money, right? It's like the cheapest state in the country to live in. It's either I think it's West Virginia. It takes like a $70-something thousand a year income to be able to actually build the kind of future that Tucker's talking about here.
But Patrick,
so 58 wouldn't even cut it.
He thinks that that's fine. He thinks that $58,000 is a king's ransom for a fucking slave.
Yeah, no, it's kind of incredible. It's kind of incredible, and clearly what the main goal of all of this is, and this is something that not only has Tucker tapped into, because, serious Christians are very serious about this stuff. Like, I'm not a religious person, so I've never really thought about this issue in this way before. But, part of the Zionist strategy has been to gin up animosity between Christians and Muslims. Whereas, just a cursory knowledge of Islam and Christianity will tell you that, Muslims are a lot more fond of Jesus than the Jews are, right? And so it is this real, sleight of hand that, has been performed to the benefit of Israel for a very long time. And that's why when Sosnick there, whatever the fuck his name is, says, there's only two theocracies in the world, the Vatican and Iran. That's what Tucker was originally latching onto. Okay, so now they're trying to, when there's a war going on, right, and there is this kind of, I won't say awakening on the right, but a noticing of sorts, as they say on online, that, hey, it kind of seems like the Israelis don't just attack Muslims. It kind of seems like they have a real contempt for Christians as well. That light bulb going off in the minds of Christians is very dangerous to the Zionist project, right? That's like a Scar meets the hyenas moment there, where they realize that they've been manipulated this whole time. The Zionists don't want that. The Zionists want Christians and Muslims at each other's throats, which is kind of interesting, because when Christians start getting wind of that, all of a sudden now Sosnick says, well, actually, you guys are both kind of the same in a really foul and undesirable way, right? You're both these sort of like theocratic ideologues who are somehow illiberal compared to the enlightened folk like us.
Yeah. I think the other thing, you didn't play the clip, but there was something he also, in addition to the Sharia law, he ended up talking to Tucker Carlson, or he called out Tucker Carlson, that he had a guest on his show that Christianity had nothing to do
with capitalism. Right.
Right. So he makes that point. And I think that, like, I myself, I'm an atheist. I was raised Southern Baptist. I was steeped in the church. I've read the Bible. I've done all that. But one of the things that I remember from the Bible is Jesus saying that it is harder to, as a rich person, it's harder to pass through the eye of a needle than a poor person. The only time Jesus ever got fucking mad, like visibly mad in the Bible, was at the usury and the money lending and the greed and corruption that was going on at temples. And so he overturned the tables. And then what did he do? He fed populations with fish. It was all those types of things. And to me, it's always been kind of apparent that Jesus was kind of a revolutionary at that point. And so there are aspects of Christianity, and I would say that there are aspects of most world religions that have kind of a people-centered focus that probably was originally part of the religion, as far as like, how is it that people get together and form community, and how is it that we survive together? And then as time goes on, those things are co-opted by the ruling class and turned into a way to subjugate and persecute people rather than uplift those. And so I think that, like, whenever you see like maybe Latin American liberation theology, I think that that's part of like the best side of like Christianity.
Right. Yep. That is very well said. It's an element of this that I've never really interrogated. Because I've just not been raised religious, and I just really never had an awareness of, just how people sort of like, move about that space, and how these issues really hit them pretty hard. Because, in America, let's face it, to a lot of people, this is a foreign issue that they never really looked into much to begin with. And to the extent that they have, it's a political issue more than a religious one, at least as it pertains to like how it affects our policymaking. But you have people who obviously, and this is a fact sort of hidden in plain sight, like it shouldn't have been shocking to me, and I guess it wasn't shocking to me, I just never really thought about it very deeply, what the religious sort of implications of all of this are. Yeah, you saw those two views kind of collide there in Tucker versus Patrick Bet-David. All right, I'm going to do this read now. I know I said I was going to wait, but I'm not. So, hey, folks, here's a little inside scoop that many of us creators are talking about behind the scenes. It's actually one of the reasons why we use Rumble as much as we do. They've made a way to super chat us creators so we get paid immediately and without any fees. So while YouTube and Twitch take up to 50% fees when you tip creators, this method takes none. That's right. The platform takes 0 fees. We keep nearly 100% of what you send us. You could super chat with Bitcoin, Tether USD, or even Tether Gold stablecoins. That tip then shows up directly in the Rumble chat, which of course we read throughout the show, just like regular Rumble rants and super chats. This works the exact same way as a regular Rumble rant. You send it the exact same way you would anything else. It's super simple, no added steps. All you got to do is download the Rumble wallet on the App Store and send the tips to your favorite creators. So you can go to wallet.rumble.com, or you can download the app directly from the app stores. It's a great way to get rid of the middleman and help the creator economy. So shout out to Rumble for making this disruptive technology and supporting the free speech creator economy here on the internet. That's wallet.rumble.com. You can scan the QR code right there or find the Rumble wallet on the App Store. Okay, let's go to some super chats and some Rumble rants.
And also, Keaton, just as a reminder,
sure,
you said it at the top of the show, but you have not set up each individual clip.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, good call. Good call. Yeah, I'm going to have to do that. Good call. Thank you for reminding me. Appreciate that. Furrow Squeen says, I love Tusker. She misguidedly said I was funny on a call-in once. I don't think you was misguided. I think you are funny. I think I was just deleteriously tired and my filter was gone, and she explained communism so we can all understand it. Well, there you go. Look at that.
The whole point.
That's the whole point. John, 2017, thanks for the $5. Love my Sunday nights with you so much. Watching the sunset and listening to the peacock's ugly calls from a few blocks away. Love from Florida. Thank you, John. Appreciate being a part of your Sunday night. They got peacocks in Florida? I didn't know they lived in Florida. I didn't know. I guess I never really thought about that. I know they got like flamingos in Florida. I didn't know they had peacocks down here.
Right.
Parrots.
I didn't know that either.
Tropical. I didn't know they had peacocks in Florida. Raven Laz, RFK. You don't want to know what I've done with my chin. Haha. Good one. Noah, skipping critical cues or points or missing them. Critical cues or points or missing them.
Questions or points, or are you just missing them?
Yeah. No.
Probably just missing them, to be honest, Noah.
I don't think we're missing them. We probably just haven't gotten to them yet. You know, we're still a couple segments behind. Yeah, because we
trust me, I get frustrated with that sometimes whenever I have something that's relevant to like a segment and then I get it in at the last second and it takes you guys like an hour and a half later on to read it and you're like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, well, I mean, the time has passed.
Yeah, what happened? Did you call me a fag and you're upset that I haven't read it yet? You think I'm ducking you? Is that what it is? I'm sure we'll get to it. I'm sure we're just behind on the queue. Great to see Tusker again. One of the DDOGs. There you go. Thank you, Arpoon Wafy. You're one of the OGs, Arpoon Wafy. Haven't seen you in a while. Thanks for being here. Another haiku for you, says Vienticus. Guess who it's about? Drunk man groupie. My office is legit, dude. My girlfriend is real. Thank you. Cash Patel. See, that's another story that I kind of like wanted to do tonight. Maybe we'll get to that on Tuesday, because now he's going to sue The Atlantic for writing that article about him. Yeah, no, I'm sure that was total slander about how you drink a lot. Yeah. No, that's an unfounded allegation when you're on camera with the hockey team. Like you're at a frat party. Wow, wasn't something going on at the time that like required the FBI's work? There was like some kind of
there was some lady that was missing.
Yeah, there was a missing lady, a manhunt. Was it Guthrie's mother or was it another lady who was missing? There was something that was going on there.
I mean, I know that there was something that people were like, what is Cash Patel doing?
Well, there was reporting that Trump was pissed off at him for doing that because he thought it looked bad, to be out there, getting hammered with the hockey team while there was a high profile, missing.
Well, we talked about it for 15 minutes during the State of the Union. We talked about the hockey team, so he couldn't have been that fucking mad.
And that's right. That's right. Vienticus, why do fathers bring an extra pair of socks before they go golfing? Just in case they get a hole in one. Good one. Good one, Vienticus.
Glad Russell wasn't here for that one. I absorbed all of it.
Yeah, that was a rough one. That was a rough one. Even for me, that was pushing it.
That was a dad joke.
Yeah. Trump needs to stay in power as long as possible, says Fawaz Warsh. Kenman, sad that all people could talk about was Coachella recently. When we sit at the brink of disaster, proof this is not a serious country. Yeah.
The Strokes had a set where, yeah, I thought we might actually end up covering it just because it had broken during the day. But
yeah, I would have liked to have covered that. You know what I would like to have covered? Speaking of Furrow's Queen, would have made her happy. And maybe we'll do this on Tuesday. I'll do like a roundup. You know, the Jabotinsky, the Jewish radical group, they shared that video of Dave Matthews holding up the Stop the Genocide and the keffiyeh and stuff. And like those are old videos, I think. Like those aren't even current, but he went on a tear about how, he was an anti-Semite, and that went viral again. Like that went viral again. So you had a couple of like bands go viral for their anti-genocide activism, but it was so funny how so many people melted down over Dave with the "Stop Killing Children" sign. Just amazing.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Like "Stop Killing Children" is a controversial fucking
That's
statement.
a controversial statement. Yeah, exactly. Unbelievable. Cubist Cosmonaut. What about porn with Larry Loomer and Lady Graham with scenes focusing on his ladybugs? Is that a pitch? Is that an AI pitch? Thank you for that. EO Shush, Keaton, you got a lot of weak chins, mostly losers with weak chins. I like hanging around them, makes me feel better. Hate strong chin guy, bragging about success. I like people who listen to mine. That's right. That's right. Trump likes the weak chinned. I like my weak chinned men. I always thought it was absurd, says Heavy Snack, that Joe Rogan was ever a representation of the average working class man. The average man does not own a car collection, take extravagant hunting trips, and regularly speak with the oligarchs. Well, no, I mean, I think that the $100 million kind of changed it a little bit. I mean, certainly to me, as a casual listener, an admittedly casual listener, kind of changed the tone and tenor of the political elements of the show. I mean, I would only listen to his stuff if he had like a guest on who I liked. Like I wouldn't catch every episode, but if he had a guest on who I liked, and I still do watch if he has a guest on who I like.
Yeah, same.
It's
been years since he's had a guest that I liked on. It used to be that he would have people on the show. Like he used to have Abby Martin on his show, and he used to call her his favorite left winger. He used to say that to her. He said, "Oh, you're my favorite left winger because you're uncompromised. You're this, you're this." That's been years. It's just a nightmare blunt rotation of every single far right fucking fascist you could possibly mention, and absolutely nothing from an alternative side.
Well, what's so weird to me is that so many of the people who are so keen to like blow the whistle on the World Economic Forum, you'll own nothing and be happy, and like lament the dehumanization of the society. So many of these same people are just so close with these like tech oligarchs. Like a guy like Elon Musk openly says he's like looking forward to a future where robots outnumber people. Because robots can then do everything you need them to do, including, he said, watch your kids. Like, what's more anti-human than yearning for a day when a robot can babysit your kid for you? Like, you don't get any more anti-human than that. You know, it's a real kind of paradox because, and this is one of the things that, I saw coming in a sense. Like, when Elon endorsed Trump, you really saw the fusion of the tech oligarchy with the sort of analog oligarchy, which we'll actually talk a little bit about in our next segment because that gets into some of that. Good. Raven Lash, Trump, forget Butler. Nothing scares the shit out of me more than a toy shaped like the snout of a sawtooth shark Miriam has in reserve. If I pull out of this war, Google sawtooth shark and you'll know. Thank you, Raven Lash.
I don't know. The only thing I can think about is whatever the movie Seven, where one of the murders they discovered was lust.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Is that the reference? I don't know.
Finkelstein thinks Tucker and Candace are ushering in a wave of real anti-Semite Nazis. Do you agree? I would have to watch what he says on that because I didn't get to that. Like, I don't remember him saying that in the section of the Brianna interview that I watched. I'm assuming it was that interview that you're talking about. But I mean, assuming that is the point that he's making, see, I don't know that I just don't know that he said that, but I will, if you're asking me, do I think that that's happening? I would say no. I would say Israel is ushering in a wave of real anti-Semitism by committing mass murder and insisting that they have not only the right to do so as a Jewish state, but the obligation to do so as a Jewish state. I think that's ushering in a lot of anti-Semitism. When you behave horrifically and insist that your religion obligates you to do so, that's going to create an anti-Semitic backlash. I don't think it's the fault of right-wingers pointing that out. I think it's the fault of the entity doing it.
Yeah, I think that the result is the same. I think that real anti-Semitism is probably going up and proliferating. Do I think that it's the problem to the scale that people like to cast it as? No, not at all. But I do think that there has been a rise in real anti-Semitism.
Yeah. And I think that's
understandably so.
It's a result of the Jewish state committing a mass murder and insisting that it is necessary for the protection of the Jewish state to commit mass murder. Like, yeah.
And telling everyone to not see what they've seen.
Right.
Like, to just tell people, like, forget everything that you've seen. It's not actually happening.
And telling people that they can't criticize what they've seen unless they're anti-Semitic. Like, Israel is the one that forces into people's minds that you are anti-Semitic if you criticize us. So that's what's creating the anti-Semitism, I would say. Eric Maines, Dan Bilzerian on Kim's show, stated he does not like the term Zionist. He said a mindset of Jewish supremacy, similar to white supremacy, is more on point as a source of Israeli issues we face. Thoughts? I would say, I would say Jewish supremacy is obviously a huge problem, and I think Jewish supremacy obviously motivates a lot of Zionists, but I also think that Zionism is a function of white supremacy as well. Like it, and look, to an extent, I mean, look, Judaism is a supremacist religion in the sense that they claim to be the chosen people. You could say all religions are supremacist to an extent. I think Judaism is supremacist to an especially large extent, since there is this sort of like bloodline quality to it. That's why, you're only Jewish if you're Jewish on the mother's side, because you have to come from the womb of another Jew, because who knows who stooped the mother, right? Right? It's this kind of paranoid, kind of racist, kind of supremacist philosophy kind of baked into it. Now, I think other religions can be supremacist and intolerant in their own ways. So I think both are big problems. I don't think you need to use Jewish supremacists to the exclusion of the word Zionist. Don't forget, a lot of the early Zionists were not Jews. In fact, the irony is a lot of the early Zionists were anti-Semites themselves who were trying to figure out a way to get the Jews out of Europe.
Well, I think the problem that I have with that statement is that he's saying that he has a problem with Zionism being put in place of Judaism. You have a Jewish background. Russell has a Jewish background. Katie Halper, Max Blumenthal, Aaron Monte. There are so many people so many Jews in the space that are fine being Jews, but they're not happy with Zionism. It's because Zionism is the colonial force. Judaism never started implicitly that way, and it wasn't intended to be that way. By removing the particular framework that people are looking at it as, this is Zionism, the Holocaust, like this is the Jewish state, like all that other type of stuff. That is the description of their ideology. Zionism is the ideology of the Israeli state, and it is the ideology of so many Christian Zionists and all that stuff. Like, we have to support it.
Sure.
So I think Zionism in particular is the enemy. I don't think that it should be removed from that.
No, I don't think Zionism should be like, I don't take issue with the term Zionism, but at the same time, I'm also not in denial about Jewish supremacy and the threat that poses. I mean, there's a reason why they devalue the lives of both Palestinian Muslims and Christians the same. I mean, they the fact that they are willing to drag the world into an apocalyptic level event, a potential extinction level event, when you talk about the potential for nuclear exchanges, suggests that they devalue human life that is not their own kind. And that is a supremacist culture. I think part of that is white supremacy. I think part of that is Jewish supremacy as well. So like I don't shy away from those terms either. I did see Bill Zarian's. I didn't see Bill Zarian's interview with Kim Iverson. I saw his interview on Galloway actually. But
really? I haven't seen
I have
that.
to watch the Iverson one. Okay. Vientikis, what do you expect from someone whose initials could also stand for purple bloated dipshit? Thank you. Vientikis has all kinds of jokes tonight.
He does, right?
Bringing the heat tonight, Vientikis Prime. RDW, Tucker is hedging to blame Milikowski and will consistently say he still loves Israel. But that's the thing. Like he's not especially hostile to the Israeli project.
And also, if you noticed in the very beginning of that quote, he specifically said the issue is the Netanyahu government. He's no different than how Bernie phrases it. The problem is the Netanyahu government.
Right. Right. I mean, I would argue Tucker even goes a little harder than that since he gets into some of the religious conflict, right? Like he gets a little more philosophical. Like Bernie just figures it's like a function of corruption and, personal failings of one guy. But yeah, sure. Stoop Sign says, Tusker, you're a Marxist, correct? Keaton is a social anarchist. If I'm anarchist, practically, I'm more of a lefty agorist into counter economics, MMT, and gray black markets, tax, census, resistance. You have any response to that?
I'm not exactly sure what the question is. Yes, I am a Marxist. Specifically, I'm a Marxist-Leninist. Keaton, I don't necessarily know, is a social anarchist. I think he's more of a left libertarian. If I really had to take a guess with it,
perhaps.
But the arguing of the MMT is neoliberal economic theory. It's not Marxist at all.
No, definitely not. Definitely not. Andy Gardner, PBD is the Reva Pahlavi of podcasters. The interpretation of that is up for debate. That's right. Good one. The Maryland man. SASR, let's get Caitlin Johnson and Mehdi Hassan on the PBD podcast. I'd pay to see those fools talk to either of those commentators. Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. Heavy
Caitlin
Snap.
Johnson especially.
Yeah. Johnstone doesn't really do interviews much.
No, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She does not suffer fools in that way.
No. PBD is just a well-dressed con man. Thank you, Heavy
Absolutely.
Snap. Appreciate that. Andy Gardner says, in my head, I like to imagine arrogant rich fucks like PBD, Jesse Waters, or Bill Maher pushing a dry mop. It's my happy place. Says Reza Pahlavi is on Minect live from DC. $100. Oh, sorry, $100. Says Reza Pahlavi is on Minect live from DC.
We've had to get a cowbell. I don't know what Minect is.
I don't know what that is either. No, he didn't donate $100. He'll bet $100.
Yeah.
So if he wins $100 and gives it to us, then he'll get a cowbell.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little harder than that to get a cowbell.
Prayer bell or a service
prayer
bell. From
That's
what
right.
he's gonna get.
A prayer bell. That's right. All right, folks, we're gonna move right on along here. So Palantir made some news today, and we're gonna go back a week just to remind you of Donald Trump's endorsement of Palantir. Palantir Technologies has proven to have a great war-fighting capabilities and equipment. Just ask our enemies, President Donald J. Trump. Here's some video, of course, of Alex Karp, CEO of Palantir, really articulating the ethos of the company, admitting to shareholders that Palantir is dedicated to the service of the West and the United States of America and aims to disrupt and on occasion to kill the enemies of the West and the U.S. Just your friendly neighborhood tech baron.
Always, we have a lot of individual investors on the line. Is there anything you'd like to say before we end the call?
We're doing it. We're doing it. And I'm sure you're enjoying this as much as I am. Let's not talk to analysts about the burden of being right, our burdens of investing in ontology, our burdens of actually looking at the math, the burden of reading what the Rule of 40 is, the burden of being honest about what an enterprise software company is, or the burden of explaining to your friends that you're really happy. Maybe we should just stop talking about it. I'm very happy to have you along for the journey, and you are partners for us. Every Palantirian, we are crushing it. Everyone else who's listening, We are dedicating our company. We have dedicated our company to the service of the West and the United States of America, and we're super proud of the role we play, especially in places we can't talk about. And we love our success in the U.S. and globally. Also, we are doing in the United Kingdom and many other places. Palantir is here to disrupt and make the institutions we partner with the very best in the world, and when it's necessary, to scare enemies and on occasion kill them. And we hope you're in favor of that. We hope you're enjoying being a partner, and we're really happy and very, very focused on what we're doing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That concludes Q&A for today's call.
Not going to take any more questions. Not going to make the mistake that TPUSA made with JD Vance. So today, Palantir tweets this out, and this went mega viral because we get asked a lot. The Technological Republic in brief. So this is a book that's co-authored by Alex Karp called The Technological Republic, which sort of serves as, I guess, the Palantir Manifesto. But now this tweet with the outline of the main points is being described as a sort of Palantir Manifesto. So we'll read through these. We won't read all the print on each one, but we'll hit the main points. 1. Silicon Valley owes a moral debt to the country that made its rise possible. The engineering elite of Silicon Valley has an affirmative obligation to participate in the defense of the nation. Number 2, we must rebel against the tyranny of the apps. Is the iPhone our greatest creative, if not crowning achievement as a civilization? The object has changed our lives, but it may also now be limiting and constraining our sense of the possible. 3, free email is not enough. The decadence of a culture or civilization, and indeed its ruling class, will be forgiven only if that culture is capable of delivering economic growth and security for the public. Now, that's kind of an interesting one because you see guys like Elon Musk now come out and talk about how there's going to be a universal high income moving forward. Guys like Elon Musk talking about how in the future robots will outnumber humans and robots will essentially work for humans. This is kind of the unsolvable riddle of the Trump administration, and this is why I thought they were particularly dangerous when guys like Elon got on board and when guys like Mark Andreessen got on board, because the Elon Andreessen vision, the sort of techno-feudal vision, seemed more compatible with a liberal administration, which is why these guys were all fucking Democrats. Like Elon voted for Biden. Andreessen was not a Trump guy until this cycle, because I think the real tech visionaries understand that much more than like the old school analog robber barons like Trump and like Lutnick. Like they are still married to this sort of old-fashioned bootstraps ideology, whereas the real tech oligarchs understand that no, we're actually going to have to dole out some crumbs to the peasants in order to maintain stability. What's especially dangerous about this combination of these two wings of the oligarchy uniting is that you have one side that doesn't really understand that, right? They are the rentier oligarchs. They are the toll booth capitalists, which they're just, fuck you, pay me, there's no support, there's nothing. Whereas this wing seems more conscious of the need to keep things a little more stable. What do you think about that before we move on?
I absolutely agree with you in that aspect. That is an age-old argument that there was a form back in the 1930s whenever FDR was running. FDR went to the capitalists and he said, you have to let me do something or else you're going to have 1917 on your fucking hands.
Right.
There is always some amount of the ruling class that realizes that Medicare, welfare, like all of these things are a way to subdue the more pitchfork and revolutionary energy of the populace.
Right.
And so ignoring that is really fatal. This will also come up again whenever we talk about Mamdani and the rich tax that he's doing.
Right, exactly. The limits of soft power, of soaring rhetoric alone, have been exposed. That is a hell of a lesson to learn from these past few years. I mean, it's amazing how you could think that when you look at where China is as a result of them wielding soft power versus where we are. The ability of free and democratic societies to prevail requires something more than moral appeal. It requires hard power, and hard power in this century will be built on software. Wow. Getting Skynet vibes yet? We're only four items in. The question is not whether AI weapons will be built. It is who will build them and for what purpose. Our adversaries will not pause to indulge in theatrical debates about the merits of developing technologies with critical military and national security applications. They will proceed. National service should be a universal duty. Wow, we should as a society seriously consider moving away from an all-volunteer force and only fight the next war if everyone shares in the risk and the cost. So they're advocating for a draft. Now, one of the things that makes itself known in this manifesto is that Palantir is not very shyly assuming the responsibilities and duties of a political organization. And this is the outsourcing of politics, not just to the private sector, but to the AI sector. So in other words, you're really skipping a step, right? It's not just that you're privatizing these very sensitive political decisions. You're outsourcing them from the human race altogether, right? You're going to start putting these kinds of decisions in the hands of AI systems. Pretty terrifying dystopian stuff. If a U.S. Marine asks for a better rifle, we should build it, and the same goes for software. Talking about software AI weapons again. Public servants need not be our priests. Any business that compensated its employees in the way that the federal government compensates public servants would struggle to survive. First of all, I don't think that's necessarily true. In fact, I would probably say it isn't true. But think about the implications of that. What you're saying is that public servants are compensated too much. The implications of that are that the only people who are going to be able to volunteer themselves for public office are rich people who don't need to do it for any kind of salary. Talk about a feudal state, right? What you're saying is if you're not going to compensate public officials, and it stands to reason the only people who are going to volunteer for public service jobs are people who don't need the money. That's why everybody's like, can you believe Donald Trump's only taking $1 salary? Yeah, that's actually kind of a bad thing.
Yeah,
right? Like it's like I want a president who needs the $400,000 a year. Right? That's someone who has more in common with me than a guy who's like, you know what? I don't want the money. I'll do it for $1. I'll forfeit my salary.
Yeah.
That means you don't have real needs the way ordinary people have real needs.
Well, I think it's also, like, to me, the way that strikes me is that it's a trickle-down mechanism. It's saying, like, you should uphold the government's right to subsidize private companies, and then it's up to the private companies to decide what benefits the poor get.
Right. Right.
Is really more that it sounds like to me. It just sounds like more, I don't know if they're using propaganda to sell people trickle down, but that's what it sounds like. It just sounds like trickle down economics.
Yep. Indeed. We show far more grace towards those who have subjected themselves to public life. The eradication of any space for forgiveness, a jettisoning of any tolerance for the complexities and contradictions of the human psyche may leave us with a cast of characters at the helm we grow to regret.
Already regretting who's at the helm.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. A little late to that party. Exactly.
My God.
That ship has kind of sailed. Yeah. Yeah. Now, this one is an interesting one because this is one that I actually agree with. But I think that this phenomenon is very much what led to the installation of ghouls like Alex Karp, and for that matter, the people who represent their political aspirations to places of power to begin with. The psychologization, wow, that's a word, of modern politics is leading us astray. Those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and sense of self who rely too heavily on their internal life finding expression in people they may never meet will be left disappointed. I actually agree with that 100%. And I think that that kind of isolation and alienation leaves people substituting online personalities for actual like community building. And I think when people grow that isolated from each other, I think that is very fertile ground for techno feudalists to create this sort of matrix out of the internet. And that's essentially what they've done. So I actually think that is a pretty keen insight on their part. But I find it ironic that that very dynamic is what led to the creation of a Palantir Manifesto in the first place, if you get what I'm, what I'm saying.
The reason, no. I 100% agree with what it is that you're saying. But I remember this quote that like some Washington official had said about whatever the Russian Revolution came into place. They said the notion that the unwashed should be allowed to participate in politics is egregious. And so it's basically sitting there and saying those who look to the political arena to nourish their soul and sense of self. Okay, well, everything is politics. You know, I mean, it really is. Like all of these policies and all that stuff result in real world application. And so I do think that a lot of people have problems in looking at leaders. You know, they always want someone else to do something for them. They want Patrick Bet-David to go on a podcast to make a good argument. They want Zoran Mamdani to take over New York and do attacks, and then that will give them some like political breathing room. So I do think that we have an unhealthy relationship with leaders of political movements, if that makes sense.
Sure. But I think the second part of that, those who rely too heavily on their internal life finding expression in people they may never meet will be left disappointed. Yeah, I think that's totally true. And that is a perfectly apt, I mean, that is basically Twitter in a nutshell. Right? And that is how you get, you know, however many hundreds of thousands of people who use Twitter religiously, because what do they say? 80% of the tweets are from 10% of the users, right? It's not as big as it looks, right? But that's where I think a lot of political energy gets funneled into essentially vacuums online, where you're essentially participating in a matrix, in a concocted sort of pseudo reality where you feel like your contribution to politics is giving as hot and as base to take online as you can think of, because that gets you the dopamine hits in the machine. How do those translate to real life? Not at all. Not at all. Right. It's just a giant
That's the
ruse.
entire purpose. The entire purpose is to get the population invested in what paragons say. So, you know, thank God Bernie or whoever or AOC or Mamdani, like there's the left, the right has it as well. It's basically saying, thank God those figures exist, instead of organizing on more like people-based things. We can organize. We can have mass movements as humans. We don't have to rely on popular figures to do it for us and to listen to them.
Or popular media apps necessarily, right? Our society has grown too eager to hasten and is often gleeful at the demise of its enemies. The vanquishing of an opponent is a moment to pause, not rejoice. That one seems kind of schizophrenic and out of place, but don't forget, this is Alex Karp's book we're talking about.
Guilty.
Yeah. Yeah, right. Exactly.
Guilty.
Now, this is this is another interesting one. The atomic age is ending. One age of deterrence, the atomic age, is ending, and a new era of deterrence built on AI is set to begin. I think I've said this a couple times on the show, that what you really need in order to prevent manifestos like this from becoming reality and essentially being governed by algorithms and robots and the maniacs in this case who program them to determine who lives and dies, literally, is you need basically international AI treaties, much like we have international nuclear treaties. So it's very interesting that they talk about the atomic age is ending. Well, we have international agreements governing the development and the limitations on nuclear weapons. None, to my knowledge at least, exist when it comes to the building of AI networks. And what you really need to prevent this from getting out of control are for those international agreements to be sort of fleshed out, because the reason why no country is going to rein in their AI is because they're afraid of just being economically dominated by the country that doesn't, right? And so it is an AI arms race that we're entering into. And the fact that they mention that the atomic age is over suggests that, hey, there's a new arms race, and it's not the atomic arms race, it's the AI arms race. Now, they are positioned to profit tremendously from this, obviously, but they can also wield tremendous political power. And these are the kinds of things where once you embed Palantir into the DNA of the government, at that point it matters very, very little who runs the government, because you're outsourcing so many of the main duties to this company anyway.
Yeah, I mean, 100% agree. I mean, also, the atomic age is ending. What do you mean? There are a handful of nations that have atomic weapons. They're talking about a handful of nations that have the ability. I mean, basically, what we're talking about is we're talking about the United States and China.
Right.
Those are the only two nations that have the capability of developing AI to the point where it starts to overtake civilization. So basically what they're saying is a new deterrence should be built, is they're saying we want to win AI against China. Like, I don't know. The atomic age is not over. The Iran war is proving that. Like, there is nothing more notable after this war than the fact that North Korea kind of got it right about nukes. And so we're saying that the atomic age is ending?
They got
the
a very
atomic
pleasant...
age is not over.
No, they got a very pleasant visit from Donald Trump next to compared to
Iran. So the atomic age is not over, I don't think.
No, I don't. I mean, it's not literally over, but I think this is their manifesto. Like, this is what their vision of the future is, one where their AI weapons and their software weapons replace nuclear weapons. And I think
they have supremacy
that comes with that. Yeah, right. Because they
they
got the
want
contract.
to be.
Money's in the bank.
Yep.
No other country in the history of the world has advanced progressive values more than this one. The United States is far from perfect, but it's easy to forget how much more opportunity exists in this country for those who are not hereditary elites than in any other nation on the planet. American power has made possible an extraordinarily long peace. Oh, yeah. No, there hasn't been a major world war in 3 generations. It's been very peaceful, though. We have really been good stewards of the international order. Yeah, for sure. This is another scary one. The post-war neutering of Germany and Japan must be undone. The defanging of Germany was an overcorrection for which Europe is now paying a heavy price. A similar and highly theatrical commitment to Japanese pacifism will, if maintained, also threaten to shift the balance of power in Asia. Man, this is not very utopian for an AI company. You know, you'd think they would be a little bit more like romantic in their vision of coexistence and transcendence. But no, this seems kind of mean.
This is the
dark.
ruling class saying Germany should fight Russia and Japan should fight China.
Exactly.
That's what they're fucking saying. They're saying let's redo let's redo World War II, and this time maybe we could win.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not very Star Trek. Not at all.
No.
We should applaud those who attempt to build where the market has failed to act. I'll skip that. Who cares? Free Palestine. Silicon Valley must play a role in addressing violent crime. Many politicians across the United States have essentially shrugged when it comes to violent crime, abandoning any serious efforts to address the problem or take on any risk with their constituencies or donors in coming up with the solutions and experiments in what should be a desperate bid to save lives. Yeah. No, just robot cops. That's what you need.
Yeah. Yeah.
More
Just
surveillance,
Minority
pre-crime.
Report
Yeah,
all
just
over
Minority
the place.
Report. Exactly.
Yeah. We should just make pre-crime a thing, you know?
Yep.
Jesus
If you set the algorithm right, you can't go wrong.
And also, I'm sorry, like, I'm just gonna tell people, manifesto should not last beyond 5 points. Like, what are we at?
Yeah, it's very arrogant.
Fucking
Very
18.
It's a very arrogant manifesto.
I mean, just-
Very presumptuous manifesto here. The ruthless exposure of the private lives of public figures drives far too much talent away from the government service. Oh, yeah.
You should be able to fuck kids in secret like it used to be.
Exactly. Because, we can't pay public servants, so we have to hire the rich ones who get away with doing whatever they want, and it's not well advised for us to look into their private lives too much. The caution in public life that we unwittingly encourage is corrosive. Those who say nothing wrong often say nothing much at all. Go woke, go broke. That should have been his 19th one. The pervasive intolerance of religious belief in certain circles must be resisted. The elite's intolerance of religious belief is perhaps one of the most telling signs that its political project constitutes a less open intellectual movement than many within it would claim. Pair that with the final two here, though. This is really where it gets into some especially dark shit. Some cultures have produced vital advances. Others remain dysfunctional and regressive. All cultures are now equal. Criticism and value judgments are forbidden. Yet this new dogma glosses over the fact that certain cultures and indeed subcultures have produced wonders. Others have proven middling and worse, regressive and harmful. And that goes with 22. We must resist the shallow temptation of a vacant and hollow pluralism. We in America, and more broadly the West, have for the past half century resisted defining national cultures in the name of inclusivity. But inclusion into what? So once again, I mean, you're just setting the stage for a clash of civilizations, crusades-like hellscape with modern weaponry and surveillance. Like, this really is a dystopian blueprint, and the only way that stuff like this gets reined in is for the entire world to have essentially a revolution of consciousness and wake up to the fact that, hey, you know what? This just has to be shut down. Like, we have to put the brakes on this technology. I mean, this is basically Skynet. I mean, this is basically Terminator 2. I mean, this is really dark, ugly stuff with just an unapologetically insane and craven madman at the helm. Here he is. Reminder, Palantir tech is used in Gaza to select humans for execution. We've done several stories on this. But here is Alex Karp saying, if you care about lives in Gaza, software is the only way you can precisely target people and say this person did this and they deserve to go.
The obvious fact is, if you care about not being surveilled illegally, if you care about the treatment of people who come into the country illegally but deserve adequate treatment, if you care about lives in Gaza, in Ukraine, and all over the world where Palantir is used, you're going to want the best software in the world, because it's the only way you can reduce and more precisely target the people and justifiably, and actually the only way where you can say this person did this and they deserve to go. And so,
I mean, it's amazing. This is just like act one of every dystopian sci-fi movie you'll ever watch. Just the absolute madness and arrogance of these people. But this is what the ruling class loves about AI. It's not just that they get to outsource the work itself of politics and governance to machines. It's they outsource, and this is very important, they outsource the accountability to machines.
Yes.
That's the big thing. And this is what I've been talking about this a lot whenever this topic comes up.
I've always agreed with you.
They like deferring responsibility to robots because when a robot fucks up and kills the wrong person, guess what? There's no human being that has to go to jail for that now. There's no human being that has to sit for a hearing now. It's the system. Sorry, the system error. Not a human error, a system error. That's why
we'll
the
investigate
ruling class
ourselves.
loves this. Right, exactly. That's
we'll
why
investigate
they love this so much.
ourselves, and we'll change the algorithm in the background.
Right.
And then when is it that people can see the change in the algorithm? No one's bringing these people. They say, "Oh, we promise." It's like what is it that the Google team says will do no harm or will do no evil or something like that? Okay, well, prove it.
Right.
Like you do evil all the time. Your own employees protest it, but that's exactly what it is. I don't know. The Palantir Manifesto, I look at that guy, he can barely sit still whenever he's contemplating genocide.
It's a fucking nut job.
He's just hopping up and down. He just cannot barely control the fact that he wants to kill people.
Yeah, he wants to play God. I mean, he plays God.
Yes.
That's what that is. That's what that is. You develop systems and softwares that determine who lives and who dies. And when you separate that out from the government, not that the government should have that power necessarily anyway.
Yeah, not that the government is more righteous.
Right. But when you outsource that to a private company like Palantir, well, now you are basically removing any democratic input from those decisions and those formulations, right? And that is just a truly terrifying dynamic to embrace moving forward. And unfortunately, it's kind of inevitable because you're not going to have the whole world decide at one moment and in one voice that we can't do this, right? There already is, but I mean, it's going to accelerate this sort of AI arms race where these no country is just going to unilaterally disarm. And it's a very, very scary
And it would be
dynamic.
stupid to do so.
Oh, well, yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
absolutely.
I think that's pretty fucking clear.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought we should cover that because that went far and wide today. But that is the Palantir Manifesto. That is
I honestly wish I had something smarter to say about it. I honestly do. But
you did great. You were
Oh, thank you.
Smarter than I am. We're all just doing our best here.
I know, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Trying to hang on.
You're fine. You're fine. You're good. You're good. Just never, always, lean in and know your value, right? That's what they say on MSNBC. Alex Das Leave, rich a-holes in Palm Beach get peacocks that lose during hurricanes, blood-curdling scream. Funny to see them in poor neighborhoods that get loose during hurricanes. Oh, wow, interesting. So they do have peacocks. Yeah, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that. John, thanks for the $20. Appreciate that. To be fair, if my job was covering for PDF files and whoever are off Charlie, I'd be drinking on the job too. Never saw a wild flamingo, but somehow these peacocks show up. They crap a lot, scratch up cars, and make awful sounds. See, I didn't even know that. And I never even thought about, the natural climate for peacocks. Because, they got peacocks at the Bronx Zoo. At the Bronx Zoo, they just let the peacocks walk around, just like any other bird. So I never really thought, hey, what is their natural environment? All right, let's see here. RFK, thanks to Rogan's lobbying, I can now legally lick a toad and enter the fifth dimension to convene with the Arcturians. Thank you, Raven Lass. Appreciate that. GZ says MMT is a descriptive economic analysis. It's not a policy prescription. I'm an ML. What does ML mean? What does ML mean?
ML means Marxist-Leninist.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it. Okay. Cool. All right. Healing Tarzan says, quick question for the resident Marxist-Leninist. Does Mark ever offer a reason why the ruling class should be disallowed from exploiting the working class or simply point out that they are?
Yeah, he does. I mean, what Mark says is the ruling class should be, I can't remember the exact phrasing of it, disallowed from being the ruling class because simply they're in the minority.
Right.
I mean, he says they don't have the majority interest in line.
EO Shush says post-World War II, they've done everything to keep communist socialists out of the government and media. Then this genocidal Zionist capitalist snuck in the back door. That's right. I like this. Froze Queen says, this carp guy looks like a coked up version of me on my day off. If he has so much money, could he not invest in perhaps a hairbrush? At least when I look like that, I'm not getting interviewed. Jeez. Yeah, no, he is quite the eccentric personality. Oh, Jake, can we throw up the scroll, please? Because we're gonna go to the Q&A after this next segment. So we're gonna do the scroll a little early tonight. Thanks everybody very much for being here. Hey, let's go to the soundboard here. We're at 2125 in the YouTube chat. And we're at 1,169 likes. I'll do a little bit. There we go. Did it. Made it happen. I even did it tonight. There you go. Made it happen. Made it work. Hey, if you like what we do here and you want to help us out, the best way to do so is to become a member. DoDissidents.com/Patreon, Substack, Locals. You get bonus content, monthly film clubs with our friends at Right Brain TV. I'll be picking the film. We've got requests for some funnier stuff since the first couple film clubs have been kind of heavy. So I have a couple of ideas. How would everybody feel about, like, they have these great old archival, like, comedy specials. I was thinking of doing a double feature comedy special with either Bill Hicks and Andy Kaufman, because they have a Bill Hicks and Andy Kaufman, or Lenny Bruce and Andy Kaufman, like a double feature. The Andy Kaufman piece is like 30 minutes, and I think the Bill Hicks thing is like 40 minutes. How would people feel about a stand-up comedy double feature? I think that could be cool. That could be fun. There's also some cool, like,
I like Lenny Bruce. I definitely think Lenny Bruce.
All right. Let us know what you think in the chat, and we'll take a look and see what people think about that. Because yeah, I mean, people like the first couple films, but they were pretty heavy and pretty sad. So
they are.
People are asking for something a little funnier. Yeah. So. All right, so we will table that and come up with that. But of course, tonight is Sunday, so after the show tonight, we will be going to our Q&A over on Rumble. Patrons have call-in access. Everybody is welcome to hang out and chat and join. Membership starts at just $5 a month, and you are the backbone of the operation. So thank you all very much for your support. Healing Tarzan says, also apologies if that's basic stuff. It's just a burning question of mine, but I'm too lazy to read several books to find out the answer. I feel you. No worries. I think Tusker answered it pretty well. Vientica says, in a way I feel cheated. I wondered what AI would cause the death of humanity. Instead, we got a cheap knockoff that's not AI. It runs off a randomizer, landing on preset percentages. Yeah. I mean, it's basically Uber.
I mean, but at the same time, like, I just had a fight with AI. Yeah. It's like every now and then I fight with AI. It's like I really hate the fact that, like, people on Twitter are like, Grok, tell me if this is real. Jesus Christ. I literally got into a fight with AI where I was trying to be fucking silly. I was saying, like, hey, rewrite the Communist Manifesto in Trump's voice. And you know what AI told me to do? It said the Communist Manifesto is still copyright protected. That motherfucker was written in 1848. It's well beyond public domain.
That's public
domain.
AI
doesn't even know that?
Yeah.
Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that is definitely public domain. Vienticus Prime, an etymological breakdown. Poly, city, polite, person of the city. Politic, regarding a person or people of the city. Political, action regarding a person or people of the city. Thank you, Vienticus, for that breakdown. Eric Main says, watching Carp, his chip implant clearly needs upgrade. It's causing random spasmodic gestures, poor wardrobe choices in his hair, desperate to escape him. Kuznetsky Bassane, what I see is the Palantir Manifesto is word salad justifying inverse totalitarianism. Yep. Vienticus, did AI write this manifesto? Probably. It's a good bet. When you monopolize food, people starve. When you monopolize medicine, people get sick. When you monopolize violence, people get hurt. When you monopolize knowledge, nothing can get done. Laying the philosophy on us tonight. Thank you for that. Healing Tarzan, just what everyone was hungering for. A company named after the evil bad guy's crystal ball from Lord of the Rings, telling us their thoughts on democracy in the company town square. Thank you for that. Vientica says, everything's the talking point two-step. Say the thing you want, then say it's for the current buzzword. Never say way or how. Thank you, Viantakis. Katrina Greshner, PBD is an arrogant man who is really dumb. Men like that are insufferable. Well, they're rich,
And also,
so they have a reason to be arrogant, you know?
And also, he's just an unapologetic, monarchist. This guy has been begging for Reza Pahlavi to come back into power in Iran for fucking years. Like, I haven't taken him seriously for years.
Right. Yep. Can Tucker recommend a lefty progressive YouTube channel which offers a union-made merch in their online store? I'd like to support them. Thanks. You mean Tucker or Tusker? I think you're talking about Tusker.
If I can recommend this channel, I don't know if they have union-made merch yet.
I don't know if Bonfire does union-made merch. I don't think so.
I can recommend this channel, though.
I think Russell is meeting our shirt makers over there in China tomorrow. He's gonna go make a video with them. That's where I don't know where they come from, but that's their thing. GZ, thanks for the $4.99. Sorry, I meant to say that MMT is a descriptive analysis of our monetary system.
I would currently say that MMT is totally representative of the neoliberal Reagan and Thatcher economy that was created in the 70s.
Interesting. All right, maybe we'll talk about that in the Q&A. Mr. Fancy Pants, thanks for the $9.99. On a good note, Terminator 2 is the best one. It is a great movie. It was a great movie.
Terminator 2 is great.
Let's see. Professor Brown, no, don't make faces. You can get stuck like that. Parents used to say. Also, there's probably a risk Keaton will actually sound like RFK by the time Russ is back. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, my voice is going to be...
You've been getting so many requests for it.
I know. I think they mean I'm going to be talking a lot because I'm quarterbacking all the segments. David Santucci, thanks for the $20. Says, nice to see Tusker again. Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you, David Santucci. Appreciate that. All right, folks, please do smash that like button. Please do smash that subscribe button if you're not subscribed already. We got one more segment on the evening, and then we are going to be headed to the
Which
Q&A.
one are we doing?
We're doing Mamdani. Mamdani is on the thumbnail.
Right.
So we are going to do a little Zohran Mamdani piece here. So this was everywhere on Twitter. You ever notice, like, and, this is a hyper online thing to say, but I'm sure, this is an online space. You ever notice on Twitter where, like, you're scrolling on certain days and, like, you see an image that keeps coming up and keeps coming up and keeps coming up, but you're not, like, interested enough to, like, look into what it is. You're like, oh, yeah, this, like, picture I keep seeing. I wonder what that is, but not really. That's the way I thought when I saw this Mamdani thing. Happy tax day, New York. We're taxing the rich. I thought, all right, what the hell? Like, who cares, right? But then I noticed it's just, like, getting more and more attention. This thing is up to 50 million views. So I was finally like, all right.
50 million?
50 million. Well, because you know why? Because it gets boosted by all of the oligarchs that populate X, because the rich fucks had such a fucking meltdown over this that it ended up, creating this real, like, Streisand effect where it boosts the video, and now it gets
everyone's
way
going
more
to
attention. Yeah.
Everyone's going to the clip to link it in the news article.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they just had such a meltdown over this that now it's like a big story. So, like, it's a few days old. Like, this is from 4 days ago. Like, I would have done this on our last show, but I didn't really think to, because who cares? He's touting a tax to rich policy, like, whatever. But the rich bastards made such a big deal out of this that I guess we'll talk about this. So it's just kind of unbelievable. So here's Zohran Mamdani talking about his luxury apartment tax, which is basically what it is, for absentee owners. So basically people who buy very expensive apartments, keep them in the city, don't rent them out, but don't live there. They're going to have to pay a yearly surcharge to keep those properties in New York City. So here he is touting that.
What a tyrant.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York's history. This is an annual fee on luxury properties worth more than $5 million, whose owners do not live full-time in the city. Like for this penthouse. which hedge fund CEO Ken Griffin bought for $238 million. This peer-to-tear tax is specifically designed for the richest of the rich, those who store their wealth in New York City real estate, but who don't actually live here. But even so, they're able to reap the huge financial rewards of owning property in, dare I say, the greatest city in the world. And most of the time, these units are sitting empty, since again, they don't actually live here. This is a fundamentally unfair system that hurts working New Yorkers. Now, it's coming to an end. This tax will raise at least $500 million directly for the city. It'll help fund things like free childcare, cleaner streets, and safer neighborhoods. As mayor, I believe everyone has a role to play in contributing to our city, and some a little bit more than others. Happy Tax Day, New York.
All right, so that's the policy. Let's read a little bit more as to what it actually is. 5 things to know about New York's proposed second home tax. We don't need to know all 5 things. This is the kind of intellectual rigor that we use to approach this show. We're gonna learn maybe 1 or 2 things. That's a, our audience is on a need to know basis. We don't have time to learn 5 things. We'll learn, 1 or 2 things.
This is the reason why I'm a proud member of the DD audience.
Yeah.
My ability to only need to know 1 or 2 things.
Yeah, exactly. I used to know this guy when I was doing theater. This guy was a very nice guy, but he was very socially uncomfortable, and he would always corner you into conversations that you couldn't fucking get out of. Like, you wanted to leave at the end of the night, like after you did a performance or after you watched a play or whatever. And you get into a conversation with this guy, and he would pin you down so you could not escape him. And the way he would do it was this. He's like, yeah, so I'm reading this new play that I'm working on, and, I'm really excited about it. I said, oh, that's great. He says, yeah, there are 5 things about this play that really excite me. And I'm like, oh, fuck you. Yeah, like you're announcing at the outset that I have to sit through 5 things.
I have to listen to 5.
Yeah, like you're basically telling me you're going to be in this conversation with me for the next 10 minutes because I'm telling you at the outset that I have 5 things I have to communicate to you, and you can't just like after the second or third one be like, all right, well, hey man, it's great to see you. I'll see you next time. No, because then you're rude because he's already announced he's going to tell you 5 things. Right. So, yeah. So anyway,
this is the BuzzFeedification of the New York Times.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Here's 20 reasons why you should give a fuck. BuzzFeed.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not sitting through all 5 things. The tax on second homes, or a pied-à-terre tax, would be a yearly surcharge on any New York City residential property worth $5 million or more that is not the owner's primary residence. It would apply to people who live outside the state, but also to anyone who lives in New York State but has a second home in the city, as well as investors' properties that are not rented as primary residences. Second homes that are rented full-time to tenants would not be included. Okay, so if you're a rich bastard who buys a $5 million apartment and you rent it out to tenants, then you don't have to pay this tax. This is just for basically absentee homeowners who buy up apartments and don't live there. That's what this is for.
Yeah.
The surcharge would be paid in addition to whatever property taxes are owed on a home. While it would apply to new buyers.
I'm against it.
What's that?
I'm against it.
You're against
You mean additional taxes?
Yeah, I'm against it.
For property you don't live in? I'm done.
The surcharge would be paid in addition to whatever property taxes are owed on a home. While it would apply to new buyers, the tax would also apply to longtime owners whose properties have increased in value over the years. The details of the tax are still being fleshed out, but the surcharge would most likely be a sliding scale based on the value of the property, setting rates so as to hit the targeted goal of at least $500 million. That's the raised revenue that they're trying to get as a result of this program. So a $100 million penthouse would face a larger surcharge than a $5 million 2-bedroom. So basically, it's just going to be more expensive to own one of these properties than it was last year. Basically, you have to pay a surcharge, right? You have to pad that envelope a little bit. Linda Yaccarino says, this is actually one of the scariest things I have seen. It won't stop here. It's amazing time to say that after 2.5 years of genocide, after, threats of annihilation in Iran, to say that this added surcharge for luxury apartments that you don't live in is one of the scariest things you've ever seen. It's the slippery.
Wasn't Yaccarino over X for a minute?
Yeah, she was the CEO of X for a while. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's why her handle's Linda X. Linda Yaccarino always struck me as more of a Janet. I used to call her Janet Yaccarino because she seems like a Janet type. You know.
She does seem like
Seems
a
more of a
Janet.
More of a Janet than a Linda, honestly. Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful. This might be the best commercial for Miami Beach real estate I've ever seen, and New York paid for it. So here he is talking on a TV show. It's really funny how he thought it was a good idea to expose the artifice of his, smart businessman act by setting up a camera that shows that, he's dressed ridiculously in a home studio while appearing like he's in a suit and tie. It's just kind of a weird choice to post this, but here he is.
I said I was going to tax the rich. Well, today, we're taxing the rich. I'm thrilled to announce we've secured a pied-à-terre tax, the first in New York.
For a few years.
You replied to Mamdani's video on X calling this, quote, the best commercial I've ever seen for Miami Beach real estate. You sure?
Yeah, it is. I think what happens here, and it's been going on for a few years in states like New York, Massachusetts, New Jersey, is when you tax people past 50%, pretty well in any tax bracket, as they move towards retirement into their 50s and 60s, they ask themselves, what's the reason that I would stay here when I can go to Tennessee, Texas, Florida? And that's what's been happening. There's lots of data that shows that. But this particular tax on the pied-à-terre, a place you stay when you're in New York instead of a hotel, is interesting. Let's ask ourselves, without the rhetoric and the politics, does this make sense? So you've got someone who spends $5 million or more, does not really use the place, but still pays maintenance, so supporting employees in the building, and property tax, but doesn't put any burden on the city's services whatsoever. How stupid a tax is this?
Okay, wait a minute. Whoa, hold on. Do you want rich people in the city or not? Because the argument against Mamdani is that he's going to tax rich people out of New York. So they're going to take all of their capital and all the money that they spend at the restaurants, at the attractions, right? At the high-end clothing stores. They're going to take all that with them, and they're not going to be here to live in the city and spend money in the city. And now you're presenting it as a positive that they don't stay in the city, because if they stayed in the city, they would use the resources. Like, which is it? Because you spent 2 years fear-mongering that if you tax rich people, they're just going to leave. So it's bad that they leave because they take all their money with them and they don't spend it in the city. Now you're saying it's good that they're not here to spend it in the city. Like, it's good that they own properties and only spend, a week out of the year in them. Like, it's completely incoherent. But of course, all of the arguments made from the right against Mamdani were completely incoherent. These people are completely full of shit. The other thing that he's full of shit about is, well, they're going to take their money and move to Tennessee. No, they're fucking not. Call me a New York chauvinist, if you will, because I am. I have not been around the world as much as certain people who do this show. But I could tell you, as someone who has traveled America far and wide, I've been to a whole lot of America. New York is the greatest city in America. There's no cultural cachet you get from creating a pied-à-terre in fucking Chattanooga, Tennessee. These rich fucks are not going anywhere else but New York, okay? You're not getting that kind of status in Tulsa or fucking Houston or Dallas. There's a reason why New York is New York. It's the capital of the world. It's where people convene. So when you come in and you want to have a party to rub elbows with other people in the oligarch class, you got a pad to do it in. There's value in that. And all this policy says is that you're going to pay a little more for that. You're going to pay a surcharge for that, right? You're going to chip in a little more for that so we can fund something like childcare, expanded childcare for 2-year-olds. That's all this policy says. These fucking people are not going anywhere. They're bluffing. It was a huge bluff. Articles came out after Mamdani won. The rich people who promised they were leaving haven't left.
But at the same time, the two people that do leave will be granted, an editorial in the Washington Post and the New York Times, and blah, blah, blah. And they'll just, like, everything will just be focused on those two people that left. This is not the fucking reality. Like, it's a benefit to own assets in a city like New York. Like, that is a fucking benefit to people that own that property and don't live in it. You're really telling me they're going to give up the entirety of the benefit of living in New York City and having, like, a tax base and being able to file under New York City law that is very welcoming to billionaires? You're going to say that they're going to move out of that city and no longer being able to claim that Wall Street tax money that they can claim with the laws? I don't believe it.
No, they're full of shit. And the reason why they have such a meltdown about this is because of how full of shit they are, which we'll get to in a couple minutes.
Because you would want more people doing this, investing their capital in New York, not using any of the services of the city whatsoever, paying property tax all day long, even though they don't live there, paying for maintenance in the building. This is the stupidest policy I have ever seen in real estate. Mamdani's still in his honeymoon period. He's only been a mayor for a few months. It's amazing that his only policy moves that get lots of exposure, and it's smart because he's pretty savvy at social media, is to think of new ways to tax people. He doesn't talk about efficiencies, executional skills, try to run the city any better.
Actually, he does. That's actually a total lie. We covered it when the blizzards hit. He made a huge social media campaign about paying people to shovel the sidewalks and getting the roads plowed. This is just a complete
and people
total
got mad
lie.
about the fact that he offered $18 an hour for a brief period for people to shovel snow for a week, and they thought that was like the end of fucking civilization.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. It's amazing how they just fucking lie. What it is they're gonna have to pay a little more, and they're having a hissy fit over it because they're used to this kind of propaganda working. But it is, of course.
You didn't know there were peacocks in Florida. I didn't know there were this many peacocks in New York City. Look at this motherfucker's pants.
Look at his pants. Yeah, that's the thing. He thinks it's a great look to show people, hey, look, I'm wearing rent pants. While I look like I'm a businessman. Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's just a complete phony. And by the way, 93% of New Yorkers favor this policy. You know why? Because 93% of New Yorkers don't have to pay this surcharge because they're not buying $5 million properties that they don't live in.
That's not what he's doing. He's saying, look, I'm going to get you a lot of free stuff. We know for certain that he's going to try his free food program in Harlem soon. What I think is going to happen to him and many others that have tried the strategy of money for nothing and chicks for free is the weight of the policy finally breaks down. It doesn't work. You can't get stuff for free.
All right. Very good. That's we don't need any more of that. D. Bakersfield. So the peasant-minded fucks were out in full force. I mean, Russ would like to do this segment, I think. Here's D. Bakersfield. Imagine the audacity to think you are unequivocally entitled to what others have earned. The definition of a true piece of shit. This is Twitter hell. I'm sure the rich will stay and pay your extortion fees instead of leaving with their businesses and purchasing power. Economic illiterates. Shake my damn head. Yeah, no, they are going to stay. They are going to stay. They're going to cry about it now, but they're definitely going to stay. Nick Freitas, when people in New York City start losing their jobs, who's going to lose their job? Who's losing their jobs?
Who's losing their job?
Because people are going to have to pay more for their apartments. What is the implication that they're not going to buy these apartments? Guess what? If they don't buy these apartments, dipshit, you know who will buy the apartments? Another rich fuck who will use it as their primary residence. Like, there's no logic to this. Like, what do you say? People are going to lose the economy's going to collapse if people can't own a second apartment that they don't live in. If people don't have that second apartment that they don't live in, it's going to be filled by someone who lives there. Like, what are you even talking about?
Here's how replaceable capital and the rich are. Some fucking asshole says, too rich for my blood, and they bail out to Florida or whatever. There's another aspiring capitalist that's going to come buy that apartment. Of
course.
Buy the nanny, buy the housekeeper, buy the whatever. They are not reducing jobs by leaving. It is just it is nonsense.
The reason these apartments are so expensive in the first place, you stupid pieces of shit, is because people want them. People want to live there. That's why the apartments cost more than $5 million, because they're coveted apartments. So if you leave, someone else is going to buy it. It's not going to create a population drain in the state. Like, it is so fucking dumb. That's why I eventually, like, when I saw this, I'm like, you know what? We have to cover this, even though we're a little late on it, because it's so fucking peasant-brained and stupid.
It's this old notion of supply and demand.
Yeah.
So whatever, you pick up and move out. Some other person that thinks that they're going to conquer the fucking world is going to go in and buy the apartment for a fucking maybe a lower price or maybe an equivocal price, and it's still going to be occupied. And they're probably still going to do the same things that Mamdani is trying to avoid.
Yeah.
As long as they're not in there, then he can draw a tax on it. And then what? You fund buses? The horror.
Yeah. No, they'll move in and they'll be there and they'll spend money there. They'll buy a $32 martini at the fucking Salt Bay Steakhouse or whatever fucking retarded shit these rich people are into now. Like, it'll be fine. It's going to be totally fine.
And if $2 of that goes to childcare, I'm happy.
Yeah, of course. Senior V, socialist policies never work. The rich will go to a Texas and Florida. Real estate will plummet. Again, imbecile. The people who this tax applies to are already in Texas and Florida. Like, the people who are paying this surcharge are people who don't live in New York full time. That's literally the whole point of it. Don't worry, folks. After he drives everyone with homes over $5 million in New York City out, he will lower the extra tax to $2 million homes, then $4,000 rents, and he won't stop until the debt spiral is complete. I mean, you can't make stupid like this up. You really can't. So Sphinx points out, the poor are crying for the rich all over the comments. Yeah, that's true. Hey, you know who had a bitch fit about this? Big surprise. Bill Ackman.
Oh, Bill
Ackman. Now, this was one of his shorter screeds, so we can actually read the whole thing. Non-residents who spend millions of dollars. Yeah. Non-residents who spend millions of dollars on New York City apartments help drive New York City's economy. Most of the profit in condominium development is in the penthouses. The Ken Griffiths of the world make New York City high-end development viable, driving high-paying construction, brokerage, legal, marketing, and other jobs in New York City. We should be applauding Ken for spending $238 million in New York City, not attacking him for doing so. Nobody's attacking him. There's a surcharge on a second apartment that you don't live in full time. So again, the stupidity of this to insist that this is going to discourage people from buying homes in New York. The reason they're expensive in the first place is because there's such demand for them. So if worse comes to worse and these fucks who don't live in the places want to give them up, they'll be replaced by people who spend the $238 million and live there full time. It's as simple as that.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Importantly, non-resident owners of New York City apartments who leave their apartments vacant for much of the year are not a burden to New York City's schools, services, or other resources while they drive growth in retail sales. Yeah, no, people who live in $230 million apartments are a drain on New York City schools. Yeah, because they're totally sending their kids to public schools. Like, this is just, it's so insultingly stupid. This is just obvious slop for peasant-brained morons who they want to keep poor and happy about how poor they are. Like, what are you fucking talking about? They're a burden to New York City schools, services, or other resources. You think people who live in $200 million apartments are using the subway or going to public schools or you know, anything like that? I mean, it's insane. They drive growth in retail sales, restaurants, theater, and other important drivers of our economy. No, they drive growth in retail sales, restaurants, and theater if they live there. But that's not who you're talking about. They also often support New York City nonprofits with donations. Oh, yeah, no, just like the Koch brothers. They built that fountain outside the Met. They're wonderful people. Ken's company is a major employer in New York City of very high-paying jobs, which drive a considerable amount of our tax base. We wouldn't want him to move even more employees to Miami. Why would they be moving more employees to Miami? What does his second apartment that he doesn't live in have to do with the employees that he hires in New York City?
I will be really concerned about like the flight of migration from New York City the second that Wall Street moves to Florida. I will be very fucking concerned.
Exactly.
The second that the stock market moves to Florida.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're all full of garbage. None of this is going to happen. These non-resident owners already pay a lot of taxes, including mansion taxes, real estate taxes, sales taxes, and more. Yeah, and they're going to pay one more. They're going to pay one more because you need the money to make sure that working people can afford to wait the tables at the high-end restaurants that these rich fucks eat at or tend the bar. Like, I used to get as a tour guide all the time when we would give walking tours through, like, very affluent neighborhoods. They're like, how do the people who, like, work the bodegas, how do they live around here? And my answer is they don't.
And they don't.
They take subways in for, like, an hour. Like, in addition to the low wages that they get, they got to spend 2 hours unpaid round trip because they're probably living in East New York or out in Jersey somewhere. Yeah, it's brutal. While NYC Mayor Mamdani likes the tagline, tax the rich, unfortunately, his policies will harm the constituencies he is supposedly trying to help. I can't imagine the New York City construction unions are excited about his plan. Again, I hate to say it for a 10th time, but this is how dumb this is. The reason the apartments are expensive is because they're in demand. So the idea that you're going to build less housing because you're taxing people on an apartment they don't live in a little more is just completely absurd. But hey, Blakely makes the point. I thought you were moving.
Blakely.
That's right. I thought Bill Ackman was going to move. He's one of these guys who said, hey, I'm going to have to leave New York City if Mamdani becomes mayor.
He was leading the charge.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was literally sitting there and saying, if this happens, I'm going to leave and I'm going to rally all my bannermen.
Exactly.
To leave with me.
Exactly. So here now Donald Trump falling out of love with Mamdani. Sadly, Mayor Mamdani is destroying New York. It has no chance. The United States of America should not contribute to its failure. It will only get worse. The tax policies are so wrong. People are fleeing. No, they aren't. They must change their ways and fast. History has proven this stuff just doesn't work. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President DJT. So here's the thing about Mamdani, and I've said this on the show before, and this was true of Bernie as well. They don't hate Mamdani because he's a radical. They actually hate him because he's not a radical. They hate him because he's not a radical. In other words, they hate him because they know that these proposals are very modest and humble and workable, and that they're going to be popular because most people are going to find them sensible, which means they're going to be implementable, which means that they are going to have to pay a little bit more for the luxury apartment that they don't live in. And that drives them crazy because they fear that once people get a sense of, hey, you know what? We were able to tax these rich people on their second apartment and raise some money for, daycare or whatever the initiative is. And the city didn't fall apart. The city is still fine. They don't want people getting in their heads that any redistribution can work because they are afraid of a snowball effect. It's not that Mamdani is a radical. It's not that Bernie Sanders was a radical. It's they have such anxiety about the first step towards not even socialism, social democracy, about any kind of change that gives any working person a cent more in their pocket.
Single ability to carve out a living for themselves is absolutely a no-go for these people.
Right.
Now, everyone's worried about Mamdani. Do you want me to take political power? Right. I'll nationalize your steel industry. I will nationalize shit like you've never fucking seen.
We'll confiscate that second apartment. Put the horses in there for that.
Oh, yeah.
Park. Be a horse lying in your fucking bed. Yeah.
Is that what you want?
And the people who drive the horse and carriages, they'll have Russell in there sleeping with the horse while he goes.
They'll be on the penthouse. They'll be above it. They'll have a rooftop balcony. You know, I mean, so I don't know. It's just like, what do you want people to do? Like, what do you want people to do? The limits of the capitalist system are essentially welfarism. This is what social democracy is. Social democracy is not engaging capitalism. It is not making an enemy of capitalism. Social democracy in its entirety is the fact that you are willing to do class peace with the oligarchic overlords. And you're saying, if you will just submit to a small tax like this, you will never have to worry about any type of revolution ever again coming for you. And simply because they are so worried about a fucking tax, they're willing to risk pitchforks.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is.
Well, I think they they have it in their head that this is the first step towards pitchforks, which is it's not. It's an act of reconciliation. It's an act of saying, hey, look, you can live here, but you got to kick in some money so the kids can go to daycare for free. Like that's it. That's it. Like that's the deal. And they are so paranoid about that they are willing to, yes, create a situation of great social instability and make people, very, very desperate and disillusioned and disenfranchised, which creates a lot more risk to them than just pay the fucking tax and shut up. You're not going anywhere. You're not buying a second luxury property in Salem, Oregon. You're not doing that. It's New York. It's the capital of the world. That's why you want to be here. So you got to pay a little more and you got to shut the fuck up about it because it's a modest cost to be able to have a second home worth more than $5 million in the greatest city in the world, in the most important city in the world, which is why the apartments are that expensive anyway. And so it's just amazing to see this meltdown. But that is why they can't stand Mamdani. It's why they went so hard against Bernie Sanders. They didn't go hard against Bernie because he was a communist. They went hard against Bernie because he's a social democrat. In a way, they fear the social democrats more than the communists because the communists they could just kill. they could just rub them out. Like they could just get rid of them. But the social democrats,
everybody hates us.
They're right. Everybody hates them. Whatever. Fuck it. You put a little polonium in his cream cheese bagel schmear, and that's the end of that. If he was a communist, they fear the social democrats more in a way because they, in a way, are more of an immediate threat because they are more practical in the moment. They're more practical in the moment, and once you got a critical mass, and this is the thing. This is why this happened in New York. And it was an open question whether this would happen in New York because, yes, you have a lot of Zionists in New York. It's a very Rockefeller Republican kind of town in the one hand where you would think, how is a Democratic Socialist going to win here? On the other hand, it's a city that kind of skews younger. It skews more single. And you have a lot of disaffected PMCs who are now not earning the kind of living that they thought was owed to them when they got out of grad school. And so that kind of radicalized the sort of children of the elites in a more social democratic direction. And that's how he was able to break through and drive youth turnout because the sort of disaffected PMCs want to be in those apartments, but they can't afford them. And so now they're happy to impose a surcharge on a second apartment. Like, it's nothing to be afraid of, but they just cannot help themselves but scream like the bitches they are when they get asked to kick in a little more money. It's amazing. It's amazing to see that meltdown. Yeah.
It's fucking amazing. And I'm just going to say, just as a top off to that segment, if you think Mamdani is a threat, you just wait till he's fucked up enough to where he's fucked up and lost the will of the people, and you have to deal with people like me.
Kuznetsky Bassane, Karp with his big hair is trying to get cred as an Einstein lookalike genius. Micro Pixie, hey, we should watch one of my favorite films, Demon Seed sci-fi film with Julie Christie from the 1970s about AI gone rogue. Interesting. Freddie X, I play golf in PA on a course where one whole border is a peacock farm. Noisy sons of bitches. Great to see Tusker. Thank you, Freddie X. Oh,
Thanks,
people have
Brian.
interactions with peacocks more than I thought. Who knew?
Yeah, who knew?
Furrow Squeen says, I think Terminator 1 was terrifying. That scene where he's looking for her in the bar and she ducks down. Even though I've seen it numerous times, I still get agitated. But I love the T-1000 in T2. Oh, yeah, Terminator 1 is a great movie as well. But I like the second one a little better.
Terminator 1 and 2 are some of my favorite movies. I also really love the Predator movie, 1.
Yep, Predator is good too. For sure. Let me rephrase that. Does Marx explicitly argue for a concept of justice, or does he simply presume that exploitation to be unjust?
Marx specifically seeks to correct injustice. He distinctly advocates for a dictatorship of the proletariat.
Okay, sorry, I lost track of that for a second. Here we go.
No, you're fine.
AI couldn't open the fucking Strait, though. Yeah, it is 99% hype to keep the investment coming. Thank you.
Take that, Grok.
That's right.
Grok couldn't open straight.
Stoop Sign says, I have a date next Saturday after being with my druggy girl in Asheville. The Chicago one is straight-laced. We're going to a tea house. Being anti-Zionist, name-dropping cat helped. Well, there you go. Enjoy your time at the tea house.
Have a good day.
Have a good date. Congratulations. Vienticus, people act like we need to depend on rich people for jobs. Hey, who wants to paint my house? Oh, look, I just created a job. There you go.
Yeah.
Vienticus, there's a sucker born every minute, and rich people are just suckers with more money. That's right. Kuznetsky was saying, God, the super rich, they benefit immensely from the capitalist system, but don't want to pay anything back to help others. What effing patriots, exactly. Richard Namulala, my Buffalo Sabres, 15 years, no playoffs, huge win. See, I'm not paying attention to hockey. I know the Knicks won last night. Knicks beat Atlanta. Go Knicks. Seymour Coxo. That's a funny name. Seymour Cox. You should see about having a friend Nico House Rathbone on sometime. He is smart, insightful, and hilarious. I'm trying to put Jimmy onto him. Yeah, no, I like both those guys.
Nico House and Rathbone are both great. I'm
Yeah,
familiar with both of them.
They're terrific. Absolutely. Mamdani is still a POS, trying to rehabilitate Obama. Mamdani was reading books to kids with him. ACP and Nick Cruz saw this coming months ago. Yeah, well, like I said, I said this from the second we saw Mamdani. He's not, this is what I just said. I said he's not a radical. He's not a revolutionary. He's not.
You know what I thought was the funniest thing? I saw a little video about the Obama-Mamdani interaction where Obama was like talking to the kids in the audience, and the kids went, like, Obama's sitting and he's like, hey, hello, children. And the kids were like, I know his name. And they pointed to Mamdani.
Oh, yeah.
And Obama had to like fucking swallow that. He's like, oh, you know his name?
Right.
You know him? You know,
Didn't
and
they
it
ask,
was
like,
just
what's
like,
his first name? And they said Mayor.
and they said he's mayor.
Right.
So like the kids know Mamdani. They know he's the mayor of New York City. They have no fucking clue who Obama is. Do you know how much of like a hit to Obama's like ego he had to endure during that? Like, Mamdani is clearly more popular than him.
Yeah, that does have to sting, for sure. Where did the $238 million that guy spent on his apartment go? Into the previous owner's pocket, whoever or wherever they are. It wasn't really spent in New York City.
True. Yeah.
Of course. Ardeen W. Keaton, you're getting ahead of yourself. I would tell you why, but now is not the time. Courage. What the hell does that mean? All right. Thank you, Ardeen W.
That's
Where did I get
ominous. That's an ominous message.
I'd say it this way: if we can't afford to educate our kids and they turn to crime, we're going to at least point them to where all the money is. Thank you, Vienticus. All right, everybody. Thanks very much for being here tonight. That is our show. Thanks, Tusker, for joining. Of course, appreciate you as always. Thanks to our mods for keeping the peace in the chat. Thanks to the YouTubers and the Rumblers. Thanks to Jake in the booth. We will be back on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Early show, morning dew, this Tuesday, 10 a.m. with Kit Cabello. We're also going to be live in 5 minutes on Rumble for our Q&A. So dudissidents.com/Rumble. If you want to stick around for the talk back, go to that link that takes you directly to the Q&A. Patrons are welcome to call in. Everybody else is welcome to stay and hang in the chat. Appreciate that very much. Russell's Peasant Mind hit us with a last-minute super chat. Says, did someone just say Peasant Mind? That's right. That's right. You will like that one.
I did.
All right, everybody. Well, that's our show. Thanks very much for being here. There will be a brief intermission, and then we will continue with the after party over on Rumble. If you're sticking around, we'll see you in 5 minutes. If not, we'll see you Tuesday morning. Once again, morning show this Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Until then, thanks very much for being here this evening. Be safe and be well. Courage.
Courage.
There we go.
Please clap.